Alright, whatever. I'll fix it later. It doesn't seem hard to set up whiteboard again, but I'll just do it properly next time. We'll just leave it as is for now. It's not necessary. I just figured I would give it a shot. Close all this other stuff. Well, yeah, I'll close that. I'll reinstall and fix whiteboard later today. I just forgot to do it yesterday. Yeah, this is fine. We can just use my monitor capture on this screen. I forgot I switched it. I think it's the last one. Yeah. Yep. Alright, listen. You're back? Yeah, you're good. My new pad. Put the timer. How long is this? Oh, it's like 7 minutes. Yeah, we watched this whole thing. This matchup is interesting, I think. Talk about it a tiny bit. There is one thing that will really change the matchup depending on if they do it or not, and that's what's it called? That's the fact that Ino can space her note to catch Slayer's escaping Okazeme on good combos. That's like the only thing that is gonna hurt a lot. Early knockdown. Yeah, 2 SM plays. I will say, like, passing thought is like she's a character you kind of just press close slash if you really needed to. She only has backdash as an option. And backdash is one of those things where if you ever suspect it as Slayer, you can 6p and they just explode. So it's like, this is, you don't need to feel as inclined to sway or backdash on Okazeme for anything if they don't have a meterless reversal. If they have a meterless reversal, then like you kind of need a dandy every now and then, or like just commit to backdash like that. But whereas Ino, you kind of just close slash. You don't need a fancy mix up if you didn't already hit the timing on it. Out with fire. As HCL. Oh, backdash 6p is weird. Here I would burst. I would also, so let's talk about it a little bit. Because I think Ino's the character where, because of the way she's designed, she's like all the other Okazeme characters. I think learning to burst Ino is significantly more important than learning to burst characters like Soul. Because while it's important to learn how to verse everybody, these characters tend to win when they win one interaction. They just steamroll you after that. So I usually like point it out. With Ino, I generally will burst here, but like after the hit. Hang on, Ab. That's funny. I wonder if I can request for Twitch to unaffiliate me. I don't actually use my affiliate for anything. And I want to say they run more ads if you're an affiliate, but I might be wrong about that. It just kind of lines up with how I have my like mental image of Twitch as a company. You're back. All I said was basically that I think learning to burst Ino is important. So like usually I burst around here. I burst like a little bit after the jump kick hits me. Not here, but more like when this jump S is kind of starting to come out. A lot of Inos will maybe try to like sterilization method your burst, but at that point it's like whatever. You know, like I don't really care. Like that means you wouldn't have comboed me, you know. But yeah, usually it's like there's a pretty good burst point. So our double jump into like button like this is usually not always like this might have whiffed, but like the moment that Inos usually double jump in a confirm like near the corner as they jump into the normal. In other words, like you don't burst the jump H necessarily, you kind of burst like right before the jump H. You burst like here, like as it's happening, like off the jump S or whatever. But those are nice to know. It kind of like keeps you out of a situation like this. HCL, no, it just spends the bar. Nice. If you make them go for those base damage, pretty much, yeah. Those are like the main ways I burst, you know. Those two are like the main two. and they tend to work all the time. The other thing I was gonna say is like usually Ino's pressure is centered around. We'll talk about it more in training mode, but she's kind of the character where like pushing her out is a really good level 1 because it kind of like forces the Ino to commit into dashing more, which means that you could just sometimes mash later on, or they have to accept that they're gonna have to open you up again, either via resources or something else. So like situations like that are like important to know. That's a good dash. Boom, explodes. Boom, boom, boom. 2D. Full charge. Oh, they actually did mash out. Yeah, I was gonna say be careful with situations like, well, I'll teach you what Crocs does, what all the Slayers do. There's a way to just kill people really fast off of stun with Slayer that doesn't involve charge blitz. Charge blitz is cool, but usually if the stun happens and you aren't already like actionable, it's kind of hard to get a full charge on people mashing. Well, it's like it's a minor thing, but I'll talk about it. I'll write it down on a notepad too before I forget. Knockdown. Yeah, I'll also make a note of it. If Ino knocks you down in a way that looks like this, off of like a dive, this is kind of more niche. Don't worry about it. Usually, if she doesn't have the note, basically like BDC is a lot better. If she has the note, then maybe you want to second guess it. Speed. But yeah, any Okazeme looks kind of like this. This is trickier. If they don't do, this is not the correct one. If they do notes at Slayer's feet, you can actually BDC jump out of it. You can just get out. They have to do it a little bit higher to catch the jump. It'll catch every other BDC option, but let's say you do BDC into like jump FD, like it won't catch that if they do the note that way. Now, so I would burst. Not that I'm saying you would burst in this context, but I'm saying where I burst is usually like right here. It's like once they're kind of jumping into the later part of the combo, and they kind of have to commit to shit like that. I usually burst like there. So yeah, that no Okazeme. No, there's tricky. We'll talk about it maybe a little bit too, but some of this stuff is more like it's less productive to learn the opponent's Okazeme on average, though it is really good for Slayer as a character to do that. But it just takes it. You get less like return for the amount of investment on average compared to just learning your character better early on. Good dash back. Notes. Jump out. That's fine. Again, pretty stable burst point. And the reason I mention it too is if Ino isn't doing big combos, it's kind of hard to know like when and how to burst her. But getting your burst out's always just a good idea. H. I wonder if 6H again will work there. We'll talk about some others. One thing I haven't seen as much of either. There's like actually like a kind of big thing I haven't seen like at all. I think that hit. No, it didn't. Yeah. HCL, yeah. Enter as a character who does less fuck damage combos, yeah. Burst? No burst. Oh, you can take a knockdown here. I'll put that kind of as a note, but it's a minor thing because he's crouching there. Standing, you probably wouldn't have gotten it. It depends on the hurt box, but crouching here, you can definitely still 2D. The knockdown, BDC would be alright here. Crouch and block again. Yeah, we'll cover this too a little bit. Cover the HCL RPS. There's an RPS type thing there. Nice dash on. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's just unlucky. That might not knock down, yeah. I would take the Mappa too. Boom, boom, boom. You could BDC the Okazeme. Or Blitz it, yeah. We got a Yasuo mid-screen combo with Stance 5L. Nice. It's kind of sick. Cool. We'll practice it later. Crosswise get smoked. Yeah, it's a weird pickup. Usually post crosswise, I think the safest thing is always jump kick. I'm like pretty sure. Stroke. Well, I'm surprised Stroke caught that. I guess its own weakness kind of worked out in that context. It's hard to burst here now. Air throw and a no. This takes BDCable Oki. I think that might have been intended as a reset. It's kind of hard to tell. Here it is. He's catching on pretty well that one of Eno's weaknesses is people just kind of jumping out. Nice bite. Oh, he's gonna explode. Oh, this is tough. Low. There were a lot of instances too in this where it's by no means like something he created, but he does it with such a high frequency that I call it the Badamp, but you should probably just do the Badamp more in general. In this matchup, it showed it a lot. We'll talk about it. He does a lot of BDC. He does a ton of BDC into dash. It's specifically air dash back in. He doesn't have to be jump kick, but jump kick is consistent because it doesn't care what side you end up on a lot of the times, which is pretty important. Here, let me keep the notepad open. We'll talk about a couple things. I do actually think the first thing I'll mention, because there were like a couple times you were in that situation. It's better the closer you are to the corner because you'll actually get something when you do it. But there is something that you don't do that is like kind of important. I'll pick Eno first to show it off. Excuse me. But it's and you can do this versus virtually everybody. It's gonna be a little bit scarier to do versus people with a meterless reversal, but in terms of risk reward versus like everybody else, it's pretty good. When you're applying pressure as a Slayer, let's say you have like 75 bar. A big thing with Slayer offense is that it's very boom, 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 button, button. And then like if somebody say block that out till now, you don't really have like a good way to stop people from like, let's say we're like here and this is like the situation. Once you get to Hero Slayer, it's like, why would people not either jump, mash, or backdash a lot of the times, right? Like, a lot of those situations are pretty common once you build a certain distance. Just kind of in general, what I'm trying to get at is anytime you want to do this as Slayer, a lot, it's better because Slayer can always do whatever he wants off this, in theory, right? It's like an executional barrier to it, but the reason this is 0 on block is because it enables things for Slayer. A lot of the time, specifically like command grab and things like that. But people will start to press buttons and get out of there. So when you're chilling at like a pretty moderate amount of bar, it's a good habit early on, because this basically never goes out of fashion, is you just do that. Ripping P-Pile Bunker RC is very strong for Slayer. It never goes out of fashion. It's still good. The idea being, like, let's say this guy only blocks the first hit, and you're at, like, a sequence like this. Let's say you hit, like, this really close. That's gonna have a gap, but, let's say you do this, and you rip this. You can always get free corner carry off of it in the mid-screen. But in the corner, you just get a combo, like... Right? So, it's not that you want to do this because it's unfuckwittable, or even though it kind of is, or like it's super good to do all the time. You do it because when you finally hit this, the punishment is so huge that it means you get to do other stuff as Slayer, and people sit still a little bit more. Even jumping has a tendency to get hit by this if he rips it correctly, like that. if you're wondering where and how to do it, so like let's say I mash here, or let's say I jump here like this. It usually catches like basically everything. Let's say I backdash here, you're gonna get the YRC on it, like that, or the PRC or whatever. So you just recover, right? It's essentially forcing your turn, just like anybody else roaming cancels. It's the same vibe as people projectile canceling, and then for 25 they extend, but Slayer has to kind of do it for 50 bar. I would say consider this option more, and if you don't know exactly where to use it, go watch a lot of the other more experienced Slayers and just do it where they do it. All the Slayers do this option. It's really good. I can't say off the top of my head exactly where to do it, because it's good as a concept. Like, if you've been having trouble in a particular spot where somebody keeps jumping, mashing, backdashing, etc., and you have 50 bar, this has a tendency to just win there, right? You apply it the same way other people apply concepts like this, where it's like you kind of do this when you finally feel like they're gonna wiggle out and you want to check them without committing at all, right? I see you get a lot of bar. In that set specifically, you had 100 bar multiple times. And if you have 100 bar, that's like that's what you want to do with Slayer. It's really good. Even if they block it. It has so much block stun. Like, even that's the other thing I was gonna say, is even if they block this, it has so much block stun, you get a free dash and then probably another free dash. Although I think the second one into close slash is maybe throwable. But the idea is, like, you are also just really plus. Like, look at how plus this is. I'm gonna hold up after blocking this. That's how long I'm in blocks. I'll do the other one to show. Right, so like, this is how long I'm in blocks for. I like get to jump out on the second dash, not the first one. It's a free pressure extension. Do more specifically P pile bunker, because you want it to come out as fast as possible. Ideally, like, you kind of want to do it when you have more than 50 bar, but just in general, doing it's good. If you have 100 bar, it's kind of impossible not to want to do it as Slayer. It's very strong. The other thing I was gonna say is, let me see if I can turn it on real quick. If you ever get a corner stun, this is just like drive-by advice. Don't worry about it like too heavily. Sure, fixed resistance. If you ever get like a corner stun, let's say like, there's a quick way to kind of like kill people off of it. And it's you OTG them. When you OTG people, they still stay in a stunned state upon waking up. So they'll still wake up after. Wait, is this set correctly? Let me just do default. It's taking too long. Right? But the idea is essentially, boom. It's a quick little trick. If you ever watch like any round where Crocs kill or stuns like this, he does if you get the stun on the knockdown, what he'll do is he'll do this, and they quick rise into it. If you ever stun somebody like at the end of a combo or like mid combo and the combo ends, when they're in this state, you OTG them and you do K pile bunker, and they like rise up into it. So you quite literally just do K special cancel like that, and they'll rise up into it. It'll look like this essentially. They'll rise up in the stun. So it'll look just like this. Oh, pressing the wrong pile bunker. Because they quick rise very fast. I like can't do it. Like that. And you get like a free pile bunker started. That's like how every Slayer kills. Because the stun, this game is especially brutal because when you get stunned, it's not like Street Fighter games. It doesn't continue scaling. Like it doesn't consider it an extension of like the previous combo. And so when you get stunned in this game, it resets everything. You're just eating a new combo. Like it's a fresh combo. There's nothing. So in other words, that's why getting stunned by Slayer is a death sentence in the corner. Because one, you were probably already low health, but when he does this, he'll just do this, and he just immediately 5 Ds again. So you just eat his best combo starter every time. But you get the point. I saw that happen, and I was like, when you get a stun mid combo, Just not like let him touch the floor, like let him get knocked down off JD or something. When you can OTG him, just do 2k or sorry 2k into K pile bunker, and like you'll just wall splat into like your best B&B basically. As far as like matchup specifics go, I was gonna say, so I'll flip them this time because it's now it is kind of oh, I didn't talk about the crouch thing. It's a minor thing, but try to make a habit as best you can to pay attention to what state people get hit in. In other words, like let's say I hit this. Reload stream chat. Well, Twitch has been kind of weird. Now it's good. Yeah, I think you're fine. Pay attention to if you ever hit this on a crouching opponent. Alright, so obviously this like kind of doesn't work even if you're point blank. Right, but it's actually pretty forgiving if they're crouching. You can do 2 reps of it and still get a knockdown pretty much on anybody if you kind of hit it and they're crouching. Yeah, it's a nice thing because when you do get it, like let's say you cross someone twice, right? Like let's say you do this into this and they get hit caught crouching. It's just nice to know. It's an optimization thing, but it's more like that's to me that translates to like Okazeme. It's not like you're doing a better combo necessarily. It's the same combo, but this one leads to a knockdown. The other one leads to pressure or like leads to RPS. You know. Yeah, the big thing is it's relatively forgiving, like you say, because you have both reps. By the time you're on the second far slash, you're like you reach this point essentially, and you've had like all day more or less to see if they were standing or crouching before you press 5k or 2k, right? So if it's either crouching, then I just 2k 2d. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I've always pressed 2k 2d. I think it's more consistent than 5k, but that's just me. I don't know if that's actually true. But yeah, you have all day to go 1, 2, 1, 2. He's crouching, and then you do that. Or if he's standing, then you press your 5k and you go into it. Right? But yeah, not super important, but it's nice to keep an eye out, especially because again, knockdowns are kind of scarce with Slayer, so it's nice to like really pay attention to that crouch confirm. Let me switch real quick and we'll talk about some Eno stuff. Luckily, Sammy did not look like they were doing any of it. He didn't look like he was doing any of like the stuff that beats BDC stuff on Wake Up. He has a little bit of damage. Oh yeah, that doesn't matter. If it's the same, then just do whatever's easiest. Yeah, so Eno pressure is usually a lot about understanding what she's gonna want. It's frustrating, not frustrating, but it's scary in the sense that like Enos can just do this, right? One thing I will explain that is like nice to know is, let's say you're fighting an Eno player that does this a lot. It's like not that big a deal to block in this pattern. So what you do is you block high and then low and then high and then low, and then the idea is that, right? If an Eno player uses 2S a lot, then as soon as you block 2K, in other words, as soon as they land, you can just go back to stand blocking. It's always important to fuzzy block Enos that way, because it makes them have to use her 2D more in her offense, which kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room in other senses when they do it. But if you notice, like, let's say I do this. Ah, shit. Like, I'm gonna try my best to, like, just add a bunch of whatever, right? Like, a bunch of mix. Oh my god, this is so weird to do. Because she's not really supposed to get, like, a million pressure resets. Right? Then it's like, if you do this... Ah, shit, I'm, like, doing it too fast. But the idea, I'm kind of doing a bad job of it, but like, the idea is that, see, like, you kind of just block Eno like that. It's like, as she's dashing into you, just keep blocking high. And then once she finally kind of reaches the floor, you block low, but only for 1 hit, and then you go back to blocking high. That's the thing that it's kind of hard to see here. Like, I'll turn my inputs on, actually. Just look at my stick inputs as I'm doing this. This is like a nice thing to do versus players early on, because it does a good job of checking to understand their knowledge about block strings. Is look at my stick inputs. Like, by default, you see me returning. As soon as this is over, I only block briefly, like, low. See? It's always, like, down, up, down, up. Like, it's, oh, you kind of rest on 4 a lot. And the idea is that when Ino lands, unless she does this, she's not going to catch that. If she does this, she will catch that. Right? But at least if all they're doing is, say, some basic pressure resets like this, then you're good. Ino's 2S is a mid, so it means the only thing that will catch you blocking like this after blocking the grounded 2D is her committing to another low, right? Just keep that in mind. It's good. See, like, it's a good habit to have. See, she like never opens me up anymore, right? And it's not something I do kind of on reaction. It's a pattern of blocking versus Ino. As soon as I'm done blocking the one low, I just block high, because Ino's only way of moving forward produces highs, right? So she would have to commit to this. That's what it's a nice thing to keep in mind. The other thing I was gonna say is, let's say they're doing like some deep block strings, right? Like sometimes an Ino player will get like one of these and do a deeper block string. In other words, they'll do 2 highs. The deeper they kind of dash, the better the mix-up could be. You can push her out. Look at the distance that she ends up at. That's a pretty far distance for a character like Ino, because if she does like this, it'll barely hit you. And that's her fastest, like, that's assuming she does that, right? Look at the distance on regular block here, and you can see, like, damn, she's, like, basically right on top of me. Like, anything hits. But if you do this, oops, wrong character. If you push Ino out on occasional FDs, she doesn't reach anymore, see? Faultless Defense is pretty nice to incorporate versus Ino, not because it shuts her down, but because it incentivizes her to overextend. Like, she doesn't want to get pushed out that far, so she's going to do more short strings into redashing, which generally boils down to, like, you could mash like that, right? And Slayer's got a pretty decent mash option, because if you're right and you hit your jab, you have, like, a pretty good amount of time to go into whatever, right? Just something to keep in mind. Faultless defensing her is pretty good. It does a lot for you. The other thing is, let's say she's playing a little bit more responsibly and does something like this. Let's say she does the block string I was talking about, right? Like, block string I was talking about was like 2k 2d, right? But that means that's the end of her pressure in terms of, like, grounded pressure. If Ino does something like this to you, she's out. Like, she's pushed out very far, and we'll cover some of the, like, her special moves, right? So this is minus on block. Stroke the big tree is a little bit minus. Actually, I think it's maybe... Let me double check really quick. I think it's 0 on block. I don't want to say it's minus. I'm pretty sure it's 0 on regular block. And then on instant block, it's like slightly minus. Yeah, one's plus, one's... exactly. The H version is plus. The S version is... Yeah, so the S version is dead even on block. And the other one is +3. Technically, so the thing you want to do, don't worry about doing this. It's kind of difficult to do in practice, but focus on this one. If you block this, you're dead even with Ino. It's not that bad. Something like Slayer dash forward is actually not too bad here, depending on what the Ino picks, because she's just dead even. But the startup of her normals is probably enough, or the startup of her dash is enough that you would probably escape, unless she does like this to you, like this specifically. But yeah, so S is, you just kind of block it. Ideally, if you instant block it, then she's minus, and that gives you even more leeway. But regular block's fine. The other thing is, heavy stroke is actually throwable, like that. Right before heavy stroke is active, you can actually throw her out of it. So a lot of the times what I'll do is, yeah, it's kind of like a weird one if you're not used to. This is why you don't see Ino players do this option too much versus better players. Because there's kind of like a secret timing where you can kind of instant block the stroke, the S stroke. So I'll show you, right? So like, let's do really, I don't want to talk about this too much because don't worry about it. It's kind of hard to do, but I'll show it as a proof of concept. You can instant block the S one and still throw the heavy one, just based on timing. Because there's only one reason she wouldn't hit you with the heavy one, right? So like I'm blocking, I'm blocking. Ah, shit. A little too fast. Oh, that's the heavy one. Whoops. There, see? So, like, throw it. Ah, that's too slow. Throw it. The idea is, if she does one of these, then the timing is such that you usually block it. Like that, see? And then if you look at my actual stick inputs, there's like a moment where I kind of go back to standing, like that, like the back input. That's because if the S stroke didn't see me and I see that animation and it didn't hit me, it's because it's heavy stroke and I input throw and I get it. That's why you don't see that much. Don't worry about it. Worry about this and learning to play off of it better. The last thing I'll talk about that I think is important with Eno stuff, and like so far, like just to reiterate, the idea is basically like normally you kind of want to push her out. General blocking pattern is like block her high until she touches the floor, then block low once, and then go back to blocking high until the Eno player punishes you for it. After they punish you for it, just good luck. Like, good luck, you're essentially just guessing at that point because that's the character. But a lot of Eno players are bad at that at the beginning. Pushing her out means mashing is better. The only thing that I haven't really covered, and you're going to run into it a lot, is like, let's say she does the 2 lows I was talking about. That means that when she gets here, she can see the cancel window on 2D is pretty big. You can press stuff like decently late and then still get it. So if she does this, she's gonna see you do this. She's gonna see that you blocked, right? Let's say I do She's gonna do this. Oh, I'm bad at timing it. Right, like this. So this is the classic, right? This is classic projectile YRC type thing. She has frame advantage. It's scary to disrespect. Most of the time, it's better to just block her out. She's probably going to air dash. She might go low with stroke the big tree, and we're going to talk about why. So if you didn't already know, feel free to let me know if you know how this mix-up works on the RPS. But the idea is, like, if she wants to overextend, you can call her out. This isn't so plus that you can't do this to it. You can always, for pretty much anybody, you can 6P her out of the air dash there. Like, her pressure extension that she usually does there with the air dash, as soon as the flash happens for the YRC or whatever, you can lock in your anti-air with 6P. And you'll get it. See? Like that. And this will work, like, kind of no matter where you are on the screen. It doesn't really matter. Ah, shit. Like that, see? You go, like, right through it. What if she TKs the HCL? It's different. So this is a different context because it shouldn't matter. Because the idea is if she TKs the HCL, you're blocking it. The reason this does it not YRC if you block, that's exactly what would happen. If you're blocking it, you're in block stun, you're gonna get an RRC. There's not really a context where she's gonna do like and then TK it like that, you know? Like, she could do it. The thing is I don't actually think Tiger Knee hits crouching even. Like, I could double check that and make sure I'm not wrong. Let me see. But even Eno's, like, Tiger Knee version of this doesn't hit crouching. The whole downside to this projectile is it doesn't hit you crouching, no matter, like, how you do it. Right? So, don't worry about that. Essentially what I'm getting at is, if you want to fight back in this situation, you can 6P it. Just, it's a timing that you kind of have to practice because it's a little delayed. It's kind of like after the projectile vanishes. You kind of do it into it. It'll make her try to bait it. In other words, she's going to try to do something like this to you and get the counter hit on it. Right? Because you have to do it when you see the flash like this. Right? Don't worry about the timing. I'm probably just slow on it because this beats like a lot of anti-airs. Maybe it doesn't beat Slayers, but I doubt it. I think I'm just slow on it if I had to guess. Or I might need to do the heavy version or something. Let me see. Yeah, so it looks like that. I was just slow on it, right? You have to do the 6P during that time. So you have to be careful because if you do the 6P, she gets a counter, she gets a combo. However, if you decided to just block, she's doing S stroke, which is the thing I'm like, she's 0 on block. There's a couple things you can do after. Usually the only thing would probably have to stop you, if I had to guess, from just holding 6-6 and dashing out of the corner is probably this. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the idea, right? So again, just to like reiterate, when you're fighting when you're kind of like blocking her out, try to get comfortable with that pattern of blocking her, the high to low into blocking high again, because that's just specific. And pay attention to like too many resets means mash. And if you want her to have to extend from farther out, push her faultless defense on the highs of her block strings, right? Like I showed at the beginning, and I'll show it kind of like a little bit right now, is like if she does something like this to you, then like faultless defense kind of starts to ruin it. See, like the last jump kick didn't hit me. Faultless defensing her highs is really nice. And then there's jump D, but we'll talk about that another day. This shit's just good. This shit is just good. It's like kind of hard to play around, but there's some stuff to look for. But yeah, does that make sense? Does that kind of like, hopefully give you an idea? Or do you have like a quick question about anything? We could try to answer it before we do the next person. It's all handy. Yeah. Hopefully it's all like relatively applicable. Again, there's a lot more to it. Like there's a lot more little nuance, but those are great starting points. Those blocking patterns, understanding the HCL YRC RPS is really good too. Because timer rang in my ears. That was probably loud for everybody. My bad. The RPS is important to understand because it means you don't have to just like just let her do whatever. If you want to fight back, you can, but it's risky, right? That's like a big thing to recognize with Sick, thanks. Yeah, don't mention it, man. Alright, next person. We'll get set up. I started adding there's a 5-minute like buffer window between people now, which is kind of nice for like a very quick like did that make sense type thing, followed by who is at 240? I think it's Obden. Yeah, Obden's at 240. Yeah, basically it's been nice for setting up. I was really optimistic assuming this wouldn't happen before. We'll leave the dust loop open. Let me double check. I believe Obden is 2 p.m. Yeah, 2:40. Where you at? Is Obden gonna be our second in history? Forgot. Oh, you're here? Nice. Sweet. Oh shit. I didn't mean to click that screen. That was an accident. Don't worry about it. We have so far only had one individual. They can remain unnamed for the sake of their dignity. Who has accidentally like missed their scheduled review. Like they just forgot. And then messaged me like way later in the day with a fat ass I'm so sorry. Alright, let's see, make sure. Yeah. Oh, 5 minutes? Okay, we could maybe watch this like even more than once, we'll see. I think it's one of those things where I literally message people, so I would hope. Fire desktop wallpaper, thank you. I feel kind of like it's stolen valor because I don't actually like Persona 5 that much, but I think the load screen's fire. So I keep it on my desktop. Oh, my bad. Let me double check. I always kind of neutral defense. Blitz on defense, maybe also just deeper dive. Oh yeah, because I said learning to use blitz in the matchup. Yeah, I love Obden's wallpaper. That's a sick cover art, man. That's such a sick Nintendo 64 box art. It's like one of the best ones. Yeah. This matchup, I mean, I'll kind of like voice my thoughts. This matchup, if you ever want to see Ob in real time, like low key why this matchup is chill. Not like good, but chill, is go watch Evo Japan 2019. 2019 Exerd. I'll come back to this real quick. Keep it open on the side. Go watch. I think it might be 2018. I'll double check and I'll send you the set. But Machibo, send it now. It might be the 6PB Fafner probably. Which players? Machibo plays his whack ass Soul versus Sato. He loses as Kai and then he wins the set as Soul. But to me, this matchup is defined by that. Where it's like he just hated it with Kai, so he just picks his whack ass Soul. Which is not whack, by the way, I'm a hater, but his Soul historically is very strong. But he picks Soul into him and then just wins the set. So it's like, it's got some aura attached to it for sure. Bringer. But this matchup to me is a lot of Soul's raw speed and risk reward is important in this matchup. Both of those things are very important. Check a little bit. Nice. We might talk about, I'll talk a little bit about the thing I told Learn about too. About how to like use 6P a little bit more deliberately, especially in like corner situations. It's a really nice thing if you're not already into the habit of doing it with Soul. He's like very well built for it, is the way I'll put it. Nice 6P. Yeah, this is tough with Venom. He's gonna do this a lot. His wake up timing, his face up timing is very early. Poem? No, important. It's important for everyone's Soul. Jump kick, yeah. So I would say it's just something to keep in mind if you want to like double check. Venom's face up timing is a lot faster. It's the fastest in the game. It's a lot faster than everybody else's. So you kind of have to lab your timings on Venom or this shit will happen to you. A lot of this is just executional checks, really. Like, because if you catch him correctly with that, then he just kind of gets hit and knocked down. Those are things where they might feel weird because all those knockdowns are normally very solid for Soul, but it's backwards versus Venom. Only 2D gives you like a good knockdown versus Venom in terms of the frame advantage. Jump kick is good there. Backdash is nice to represent there. Yeah. And then I'll talk about this. A lot of the time, stuff like this, there's like two ways I handle it. If he's in a range to do stuff like this to you, most of the time it's not actually a true block string to set and then press and then set and then press. So a lot of times if you jump out of the normal that is allowing him to set another ball, that's good. Or pushing him out is helpful too. Either of those two options is okay. It's situational ultimately, but both of them are nice to remember. Nice 2D. Yeah, so this, ironically enough, is what I'm talking about. So 2D knockdowns are very long on Venom. That hit meaty. That was just meaty. Even though it air dashed, that was still meaty. That wasn't even a mix-up. Like JP after Far Slash. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. You just kind of essentially pick whatever he's like pressing a button and then getting a ball set off of. This is super plus if you keep blocking it. We'll talk about, I'll make a note of it. We'll talk about the two carcass raids and like how I think about like interacting with them. And Venom's kind of cheap. He can kind of, like if he far slashes after ball hit, pretty much, yeah. All of those like pseudo infinite type block strings that he has, sometimes they are actually true block strings and you kind of have to push them out or IB in a certain way to jump out. But Venom has to touch you to set another ball. He can hit the ball that he's trying to hit, but if you don't get hit by Venom's normal, he can't set a ball like that. Don't worry about it too much, but I just mentioned it because those block strings kind of run amok on people. 2D is pretty good after Q5, I'm pretty sure. It's like not the worst decision. An interesting blitz. Yeah, and we'll talk about this stuff too. We'll talk about this a little bit too, because blitz isn't necessarily a bad option versus Venom for a character like Soul. Because you have a DP. But we'll talk about it. Walled out. Wow, that's the work. That's tragic. Big hit. Gunflame. Oh no, that's too far to get a combo. You just got a Gunflame there. And hold space. It's kind of far from the corner, but it should be fine. Oh, I think you can dust loop there still if you 5H. Backdash. Yeah, you gotta be careful there. It's minus, so it's just like Pazu's the kind of player. This is more like player than it is like matchup specific. Pazu's the kind of person where like because you're minus, he will play like you're minus. Is the way I would put it. And then if you overextend when he's minus, he'll say something along the lines of word or really you were minus, right? So it's like little things like that or more player specific. Yeah, 2D looks really nice after Carcass. Or not Carcass, after or during Q5 strings. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little. You're kind of doing what Learn does a bit with your block strings. We'll talk about some 6P stuff because it's good universally outside of characters that have amazing sweeps. Venom is kind of one of them, but it's not as much, and I don't find as many Venoms are smart enough to like mash that normal like immediately. Nice hit. Venom specific route. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. Yeah. Might be in a mix-up. Yeah, we'll talk about the neutral too and the spacing. I think there's like a spacing I like to hang out versus a lot of. That's a good crouch on his part. There's a spacing I like to hang out versus Venom a lot when I play as Soul, and it has a lot to do with his really good range. Nice. Yeah, a little too far. Yeah, we'll talk about a couple things. Talk about some Venom pressure. We'll talk about some Soul specific stuff. I want to cover probably the neutral first. I do think there is sort of a range that I think is defining in the matchup, and I don't usually play, so I'll talk about it as I set it up, but Venom's far slash is pretty defining on the distance that you play this matchup at. The same way something like Kai far slashes, because it's a very similar button. It hits insanely far, right? So if I stand here, it should hit me. Yeah. So this button is pretty defining because if you hang out around here, 2S might not hit you, but if they press this button, it will. And like he doesn't have great cancels off of it, but that's kind of like deeper levels of the matchup. I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's easier to just hang out here more versus Venom. If you're resetting, like let's say he gets a hit or does whatever and then ball sets, getting to about here is not the worst thing ever. Because again, a lot of Venom's things are oriented around touching you and then getting balls out from like really far away, or touching you and then getting like Q5 on the screen or something, right? So the more you kind of stay away from him, the less you have to play the I minus mini game, right? In other words, like Venom can't really do things like this because they're punishable sometimes. Like if you say like block this and then press this, it's a punish. But that's not really like a game you want to play until you're more comfortable with Venom. In the matchup, I think with Soul, that is why I think Soul is solid in this matchup, is because he plays very well off somebody putting themselves in minus situations, right? Because of shit like this, right? Like if you're ready and you just gamble on this, you get a full combo or whatever, right? Or let's say you do like an air. Oh, I don't think you can do this, but maybe. No, you can't. Besides the point, you hang out around here, and you use Soul's speed, because the other thing is, let's say Venom presses this button, right? So like, let's say he lands. Let's say he presses far slash. Look how long his far slash takes to recover, right? So when he does this, it's a timing thing. It's like the time it takes him to press this and recover is usually what you're shooting for. Is how I like to play the neutral. That's his best reaching normal. Like that's assuming he's pressing that, right? So you can kind of hang out here. You can do things like this too, every now and then. Oh fuck, I'm messing up the link. Oh my god. But you get the idea. I think this range is nice for Soul. I think it plays into his ability to like air dash suddenly and get stuff like this, or run up after he whiffs it. Or you do this. And that's like also very good. Versus his 2D. Or versus his far slash. Right? These are like, the 2D is really important too. Just get the knockdown and then run Oki on it. The idea is at this distance, if you did this, nothing happens. But if you press his far slash, you get a hit. The Gunflame's pretty inconsistent because he's quite literally so far, you like don't get it a lot of the times. So I wouldn't worry about this confirmed too much, but you can if you want to, right? But that's the idea. This range is nice, in general. Like, learning to play this range, where only his far slash helps him, is nice, because, yes, he can maybe get a couple ball sets and play around what you're trying to do, but the idea is you're way faster. Even at this distance, Soul only needs about a second to close the gap. Like, look at that. At this distance, nothing hits for him, but if I dash for a second, far slash hits, right? So this range is good. Try not to hang out here. It's out of the range of 2S, right? Like, if you're... Oh my god, that button's big. If you're here, it's out of the range of 2S, which is cool, but it doesn't really benefit you. Hang out farther versus him, and then focus on approaching, either with, like, air dash JH every now and then, or the occasional, like, run up 2D as a counter poke. Or, I don't like 6P, but I guess you could do it. I think far slash gets more stuff done, on average. Far slash, you make contact with Gunflame, you're plus on block, right? He starts buffering jump, you do far slash 2S, and then he jumps and you're right underneath him, like already recovered. Both of those two things can be very obnoxious for a character like him. Because this is all risk reward, right? Like, all the things that you're doing, if he mashes into this Gunflame, even if you trade Gunflame combo, you're gonna do like 30%. Doing whatever combo you want. So for neutral, hang out here. Don't try to, like, the big thing is from this distance, it's hard to get all the way to Venom, like, sneakily. Everything you want to do should be from around this distance. Whether Venom has advantage and you're kind of getting away, you always kind of want to get back to here, right? Whether you're full screen off of a burst, you kind of want to get to here and then learn to play off of it. You need to make sure this normal cannot just make contact for free all the time. And hanging out here is good because Venom is scared to do things, so he might run away more. To which you go, okay, same distance, right? And you kind of box him out until, you know, the worst thing that happens is he would put himself in the corner. Like that. Right? But yeah, try to hang out there. That's a good range. Defensively, I'll talk about... so something important to note is... And I'll turn it on. I'll just read the numbers out. It's not going to show it because you don't need to see the hitboxes for this interaction, but I do want to talk about the frame data for Venom's pressure, because that shit is kind of unreal if you have, like, not seen it before. Where's the mod? Okay. So if you block this Carcass Raid from Venom, right, like regular block, Venom is plus 18. I'm not making that number up. Venom is plus 18. Blocking a spaced out S Carcass Raid he has comical amounts of frame data, right? The thing is, a lot of these, if you hold, say, up out of it... Ah, shit. Oh, I hate doing this up 2H. It's so hard to get it. They're not true block strings. Sometimes, if they do a really, really good, like, S Carcass off, like, the third hit of close slash, like, pushing out, it might not be something you can jump out of. But, like, generally, you can often get out of those Carcass Raids from Venom. The tricky part is, like, I believe if he does... Let me double check, because I might be wrong about this. Even this Carcass Raid is plus. He's plus 16, and I don't think I can jump out of this one anymore. Oh, I can. See, so... There's some ways to play around it, but that S Carcass, you can usually jump out of it versus Venom if you're, like, already committed to it. So you can do something like... Oh, he always S Carcasses here? Let me get the fuck out. Yeah, this is a losing battle for a character like Soul. It's like, just get out. Just get out. He can, if you become too telegraphed, do something like... Oh, fuck. Oh my god, humor me. It's been a while since I did charges. He can do H Carcass. H Carcass is kind of a weird one because let's say he pushes himself out like this. If you block for whatever reason, even though it's not really good at it, let's take a step forward. This is also very, very plus. But H Carcass has a tendency to not like hit in front of Venom as well. So you can kind of just like wait and then, oh dude, I hate H Carcass. It's such a frustrating thing to punish. But you can do stuff like that. H Carcass is not going to hit you as fast. However, it's built for catching jumps. Again, there's some nuance to this because the Venom players have labbed out some really fucked up block strings that kind of like cover the weaknesses of one Carcass and then cover the weaknesses of other Carcass. Like, there's more to it, but generally speaking, if it's the low angled one that hits at your feet, that's S Carcass, and it's usually plus on block a lot, and you kind of needed to have already jumped out of it. The other one is like the other side, or essentially, where it's like the other one doesn't really hit you and like extend pressure as well, but if you hold up forward versus it, you block, and he's like plus a bajillion actually off of this, right? That's kind of like what you're usually looking for here, like that. The other situation is, and I am like a firm believer that this shit is busted for Venom, but every character kind of has their own solutions for it depending on their character. But like this situation, there's a couple things. So Carcass, first of all, like we'll talk about it. Carcass is minus on block. This option is minus for Venom. It's actually like pretty decently minus if he doesn't charge it. He has to charge it 2 stages for it to be plus. Let me double check and make sure I'm not capping on that. But that's 1 charge, yeah. So 1 charge of it is still -1. He has to hold it this long to be plus, and then he gets the bigger ball, right? Which you're like, big deal, how slow is that? It's pretty slow. That's still the minus version. This is the plus version. You have to hold it like that long to do it, right? But what I'm getting at is when Venom does this to you, he's technically minus. The reason I say technically is because this move generates a ball when it happens. So let's say I press far slash as soul because he's minus, and no matter what, even if he presses say 2D or 2 or whatever, like 2P, he's minus. I should win this interaction. However, if you notice, we trade. And it's one of those things where you're like, I don't get it. Why did I trade? I'm plus. The ball hit me. Venom is minus enough that he's punishable. Like, if he presses a button, he'll get hit out of it. But the button still hits the ball, and the ball doesn't dissipate. These situations are kind of fucked. I think, does 2D go under? No, I wish. It still just gets hit after, like, the ball travels. Everyone kind of has unique solutions to this option. It just depends. The reason I talk about it is a really easy thing to do accidentally is I tell people, do not jump after you block this. If you already blocked Q5, do not jump into Venom. You can try to jump away if you want. Let's say we're like in the middle of the screen like this, and you block it. You can do this, and this isn't that bad. The ball is going to force you to kind of have to give up a bunch of space or block Venom or whatever. It's not good. But the reason I say do not jump forward is because of this. If you do this, he's going to recover and either press 6P or air throw you. Venom recovers very fast after he hits that ball there. That it's like, as you see, like, if he does something like this, I'm just gonna get smoked. Ah, shit. It's like fucking with the timing. Actually, I gotta do that faster, I think. That might be too fast. Let's see. Alright, let me see if I got it. See? Look how fast he recovers. Look at how fast he's able to 6P. He was already... I haven't even, like, pressed my jump in. Like... But my point is, what do you do versus Q5? I think in the middle of the screen, holding up back like this and getting away is okay. It's not good, but it's not bad. Depending on where he does it, too, you can also, like, a character like Soul, not everybody else, can blitz and DP. Stuff like this is why I said, like, blitzing isn't bad for Soul. He just has to know how to do it. Right? Like, you can blitz the gap, which normally would not mean anything for other people because they blitz and then they block the ball, and it's like, okay, cool, like, what did I get? But you can actually do things like blitz DP. You can do things like if you block the carcass, you can DP in general. And if his normal reaches you, you'll go through the ball, right? These are all risky options, obviously. Like, don't super commit to it. You can also, honestly, I think for Soul, like, the far slash trade is not that bad either. I think the far slash trade is pretty alright. Because a lot of people end up trading, like, in a way that just doesn't benefit them here. But the far slash is okay. The big thing is I don't want to see, like, jump. Just don't jump at him after Q5. But there's different ways to do it. Like I said, if he does, like, a point blank Q5, which he, like, shouldn't do. But if he ever does, like, one of these, it is blitzable. But that's, like, very rare. That's kind of like the Venom player messing up. Not a thing that happens, in general. I'm trying to think. That's, like, most of it. Again, a lot of understanding the dynamic between this option being plus but jumpable, this option being not as fast but catching jumps, right? Like, see how that doesn't reach me at this distance? Then that's like kind of like what you're going for. You're trying to force him to do that one a little bit more. And then the missing piece is like Stinger YRC. Stinger YRC is just a good pressure extension. You cannot do much about it except block. If you have a good read, you can blitz so that when he runs up, you can DP if you want to disrespect. But everything is skewed in Venom's favor once he does this and you block it. It's kind of just like, fuck. Jumping out of it is also kind of tough too, is the thing. Because he's either going to try to air throw you or just 6p your descent, right? Usually pressure is not super forgiving versus Venom. I was gonna say, by the way, I didn't mention it, but if you ever anticipate Q5, you actually can jump out of Q5. If you faultless defense, like, right when you jump, it's super, like, whack to hit consistently. I don't really go for it, see? But you see how I jump out? The reason I don't go for it is because I can't just hold up out. You have to, like, do this correctly or you just get hit. So, like, know that this exists, see? Because he pulls his little feet up fast. But that shit's kind of hard to do. I don't really do this much. But if you ever master doing this, it means that holding up into him... You JP out? Oh, maybe. I just know that this is faster at reverting his hurt blocks. It doesn't seem like I can. Yeah, it's kind of hard to hit the timing on this. You can. Yeah, that seems a little bit easier. But again, don't worry about it. I mostly just mentioned, because see, if I jump out like that, then I can press a button versus Venom. Because I'm jumping during Q5, like that. See? That is also good to do, but it's hard to get, like, better at doing. And the thing is, yeah, if you IB, it becomes a lot easier. But you have to know what normal... If you've noticed, I don't usually tell too many people, like, IB this, IB that. Because it's hard to do. But yeah, if you IB it, you could just regular hold up, and you'd get out. It's hard because you don't have to know, you have to know when Venom does the Q5, and you can kind of do it like in a couple different spots, but you should be able to just like IB and then regular get out. Again, it's up to you. I don't usually focus too much on like telling people to IB things until they're like really comfortable with matchups, like, and then it's like you get that, right? But yeah, the other thing I was gonna say, oops, ad, dude, I wish I could unaffiliate myself. The other thing I was gonna say is you can also instant block Q5, right? Same logic, by the way. If you instant block Q5, he's like extra minus. He's -6. So now it's like even easier. The problem is you never have anything fast enough to punish Venom directly as any character. Right? I guess Johnny would be the one exception. Johnny could maybe press 5k off the IB here and get a punish, maybe. Everybody else would be like 1 frame short. You didn't miss much. I was saying that by your logic, again, I don't really tell people to IB because the game becomes a lot more expansive, but it's kind of like a executional barrier, and you can play without it for a long time. But what I was saying is that if you, it's same logic applies. If you instant block Q5, it's even more minus. It's -6. But the reason it doesn't change too much is it doesn't mean you get a punish. So the situation mostly plays out about the same, really. It doesn't really... From my understanding, it doesn't really change too much instant blocking in terms of like what you get, but you can opt for trading with sweep and stuff now instead because of the distance being a factor. So if you want to opt for that, again, the defense is like not a thing you want to focus too much on. versus Venom because he has very layered offense, and generally it's hard to find a good solution that just shuts him down. But those are rule of thumbs for his special moves. Like, keep those in mind. If low carcass bullies you, jump out. If heavy carcass starts coming out, stop jumping out. Q5, block it, and then maybe try to trade after. But don't jump after it. Don't jump forward after blocking Q5, even though it feels like a good idea sometimes. If you're gonna jump back in the middle and get away. The other thing I didn't cover, it's not super duper nuanced, honestly, but let's say, because I'm not going to talk about it in depth, there's a lot of situations where Venom will get something like this, right? That's too early. Right, so this is a good example, right? So the thing about setups, and again, they're all kind of different, but like, let's say you're in this situation as Soul, right? If Venom does it correctly, a lot of the times he'll cross through you while the ball hits you. In other words, let's say that you DP'd, it wouldn't work because he went through you, right? Like, actually, I think this recording is set like that. Let me see. Right? Oh, it's not. I'm a little off, but if he crosses through you, the DP will obviously kind of whiff as he does this. What I was saying about how Blitz works is if you do something like this Okazeme isn't spaced for it. But if Venom super jumps, if he does his Okazeme using a super jump, the Blitz does not reject Venom like this. God, I can't hit the timing. But the idea is basically if I hit this Blitz, it'll reject Venom, but that's not normally the case if the Venom player is a little more experienced and knows what they're doing. If they don't, then just Blitz this. This K-Ball Okazeme is blitzable if they like regular jump into you. You'll get the reject state. Oh wow, that still didn't reject. I'm actually so surprised. That's crazy. I might have missed the reversal window or something. But you see what I mean? Like, that doesn't really help you get out of this situation. Right? Same with, like, the DP if he crosses through. This is crossing through. I might be able to do it. See? So, like, stuff like this isn't helpful if you don't pick an action after your Blitz. Right? In other words, like, if I do this and I Blitz, I know he's kind of like crossing through me, so I'm blitzing the projectile meaty and I'm DPing the mix-up. That's what I mean when I say like learning to use blitz as Soul in matchups like this is learning to use it to avoid the meaty projectile that's safe and then RPSing after you get the reject like that. Because you're not actually pushing them back off of the blitz or anything like that, but you do make it possible for you to like DP after things. It's the same thing with the Q5, right? Where it's like if you blitz Q5, you can DP after, right? That's what I mean when I say like learning to use blitz is using blitz to tap it like that and then rip your DP after it like that. That's all it is. That's honestly all it is. You can try that a lot in the matchup. Again, there's a ton of setups, so I don't know where and how it works exactly all the time. But the rule of thumb, is it a safe jump on the other side? Well, so the ball is safe jumping you. In other words, like, if he does this cross through, the ball hits you, and then he presses a low the other way. You have to DP as he goes through you. So it's a safe jump because the ball's safe jumping you, right? It's essentially like that, if that makes sense. It's the ball, in quotations, safe jumping you. And then Venom confirms off of it by going low. Or if he does the high, it's not a true combo, but that doesn't really matter. No, you can't DPOS here. It has to do with the timing on it. You can't DPOS here. DPOSs are more for when people left-right you immediately. Like, if it's a left or a right situation, you can DPOS with the 6P one, like this. Or I like the SDP one, because I think the SDP is just safe to whiff if you're wrong. It's usually fine. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's not that big a deal, honestly. It's just in the sense that it's like, if you're going to blitz, that's fine, but just learn to DP after as a mix-up. Not guaranteed or anything, but that's how you use your DP in a matchup like this as Soul, and that's how you use blitz in a matchup like this as Soul. Not everybody gets that privilege. It's pretty nice that Volcanic Viper does that for him. The other thing I was going to talk about, and Venom's a little hard to do it with, because Venom does have a good mashable sweep if you're like this close. I think it's like 6 frames or something like that. It's very fast. But that doesn't mean that you can't still hit this timing. What I was going to say is you kind of have to like try practicing what I told Learn to practice, which is like you still need to do 6P staggers like this a lot. But the idea is, I kind of like wait a long time. You have a long time to wait for these. Like if you say you do this, and you're like here, oh my god, 2 blocks here. You can always link the hit after. So like if I do, oh my god, it's been a minute. See? That's kind of why like this button is very chill. Like you just kind of like need to do this. Does this 2D not go under your 6P? I don't believe it does, but I might be wrong. But it's kind of the same idea. But I don't believe it goes under. His 2D doesn't really low profile, I want to say. Let me check that. It's just fast. And it's a low hitbox. But I don't think it's coded to low profile. I want to say I don't ever have any recollection of Venom's 2D like doing this. Like it's a good button to trade into 6P if the soul fucks up. Oh, it gets it on frame 6. No, that shouldn't be fast enough. It low profiles once it's active. But I don't think that's fast enough. And that's only upper body. That's not even above the knee. I think it should be fine. But either way, I guess what I'm getting at wasn't necessarily the 6P thing. It's that you should let your 6P rock a little longer. Yeah, there were a lot of moments where you did hit this. Like, you would hit something, and then you wouldn't confirm the situation after. My point is kind of like, even if you did something like this, let the 6P linger a little bit. Because Soul's confirms are kind of, like, in the corner specifically, very, very, like, easy to do, see? You see how that works? That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like, no matter what you're doing, whether you want to do 2P and then frame trap with 2P, once you get to 6P in the block string, so let's say I did this. Oh, shit. Oh my god, let's just do it point blank for the sake of the example. Oh my god, you can't even do it. Like this, right? You always want it to linger, because in the corner, you can just link off of his 6P. If you want to make your life easy, you can just press 5k 2H, and that should always work. And the nice thing is, like, if you ever get these in general, this counts as a quick launch. So you can do this. All of his, maybe 2P, 6P looks tight. I mean, you can experiment with it on your own. Really, my quick advice is, as you're learning to use 6P in the corner, just let 6P happen. Like, wherever you're choosing to use it, however you're choosing to use it, even from, like, over here, you can just link 5k 2H like this. And see, it'll give you the combo that you want to do. See? Raw 6P launch is a good starter in the corner. Right? But it's easy to accidentally autopilot. The reason I mentioned that you can linger it... Yeah, 5k always picks up like that. See? And it's a good starter. You can do your best combos. You can literally do all the good routes off of this hit. It's a very big deal. At a different timeout on counter hit, I mean, you wait a little longer. Because it just, like, it's the extra sort of, like, they're stuck in this fat counter hit moment, but the hit is the same. Okay? Doesn't really change anything. That's why this option's so good. The last thing I'll say pretty much is that the reason that you're allowed to just press 6P and wait around is because 6P has so much delayed Gatlings off of it. Like, look how late, this is still a Gatling. If I did this and was like, I didn't hit him. Far slash. You can press it, you can process the situation, see what happened, and then press your next button. That's how delayed the Gatlings are on this option. Right? So like, even if we did this, you still get it. Like, I kid you not, this is still a Gatling. Look at it. That is still a Gatling. This button is like a Strive normal. That's how this button works. It's like a Strive normal. It's crazy amounts of delay before you can pick any of your Gatlings. Usually Far Slash is good. I was telling Learn what I do versus characters, less characters like Venom. Yeah, that's a lot of delay, man. Like, it's such a big delay, it's a gap. That's a frame trap now. That's just a frame trap now. That's the reason why Soul players are kind of allowed to do 6P, 6P. Because the timing is so late that you're kind of scared, you know? Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it's big. You can press a really delayed button and get it. But the thing I was telling Learn is, let's say you're fighting a character. This is the last thing I'll say because we're out of time. But let's say you're fighting a character and you do something like in the corner, this, and they don't bite, right? I'm gonna take off the first whatever, right? What I usually do with Soul that's kind of oppressive versus people that don't know how to push block well is you do this, and if it doesn't hit, like let's say you're close enough still and the 6P didn't wall bounce, go into 2S. 2S will still hit as long as they didn't push you out, and you're plus on block after 2S. So now you're here and you're plus on block. And you can do like 5H and it'll counter poke everything pretty much. And you'll get a counter hit combo if they mash in. Or you can do micro dash far slash again. Right? But the idea is like, dude, I was already checking you. And I was wrong, and I went into this, and now I'm plus on block. Right? That is very, very good as Soul at the beginning versus people that are not good at dealing with that. And there's a million things that you can do off of it. You can do this, and if they mash, like fuzzy mash, they'll delay. Their button will come out and kind of trade into this, and you'll get a fat starter. But yeah, learn to use... This is more in the corner than in the middle of the screen, but you can do it in the middle of the screen, because you can do this in the middle of the screen, and it's fine. If you don't get a counter hit, I was telling Learn, even if you don't get a counter hit, you can always run up. 6P regular hit is like dummy amounts of corner carry on its own. No combo, but you carry like a third of the screen off the knockdown off of it. So it's not that bad to keep in mind, right? And even if you did this, let's say, on accident, you're not really like losing anything. See? And then you just do... I usually do this. And then it's like, no matter what you pick, it's already out. If you mash a button into this gunflame, it's going to trade in my favor. And if you backdash, that gunflame is coming for that ass still. Right? So I usually do that. Like that. But you want the gunflame, like, traveling as you... It forces people to jump. And if they jump, you'll recover fast enough for something like 5k a lot of the time still. It's really good versus characters that don't represent, like... A zero after flash reversal, like burst dot or the Hochifu kick thing. Like, shit like that will blow this up, but anything besides it won't. Because you're not in range for DPs anyway. But yeah, does that make sense? Like, learn to stagger off of your 6P a lot. Because even if he blocks it, let's say he blocks it, you can react late and press 2S like that and still be plus. Do that some more. You can do it anywhere on the screen, but it's really good. It's especially good on the corner situations because regular 6P still wall bounces into 5k link. And then you just 5k 2H and you do whatever combo you normally do off of 6P launch. Or sorry, you do whatever combo you do like off of like say like wild throw starter. You can do the best combo. But yeah, hopefully that gives you some things to try. Like I said, defense is hard, man. Defense versus a character like Venom is not easy, man. So it's like you don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. But little bits and pieces help. A Venom pressure is a lot more about learning what not to do. Like don't do this, don't do that. Than it is like what can I do? Let me set up the next one. Any games from this set? Let's see. Okay, let me load this up. And yeah, no problem, man. Anytime. VOD reviews are always a vibe. All right. Obligatory. Where you at message. I didn't look at the thing that Gummy sent me, but I should probably look. You dash cancel. This one. They forward tag. That's pretty cool. I'll have to look at that. Here. Alright, cool. Load the video and then we'll... How long is this? 8 hours? Jeez, he's looking like me back in the day. Only I used to stream 8 hours of Exerd like that. Alright, timer. I'll watch like maybe a couple games of this. Ah, shoot. I did not mean to skip like that. Alright, the same thing. Oh, too far. Yeah, we'll watch from like here. I'll watch from here. Wait till the next game. Usually, like, rule of thumb, I would say, like, my rule of thumb versus Soul is always, nice, that's a punish. Well, if you pick your jab, don't worry about it too much. I will say, basically, like, either you get the punish or you don't, but let's say you block this up close. Usually press your standing jab, not your crouching jab. Basically, just do that. If you block Bringer up close and you're gonna mash, press your standing jab. If you instant blocked it, whether on purpose or by coincidence, it'll be a punish if you do it correctly. Yeah, double set is not real into a safe jump. You can't double set into a safe jump, but you can single set no matter when. So if you do single set, run up, touch the scroll, dash through, it's a safe jump. That's a weird 6P. Getting out's good. Backdash, yeah. You want to let him with DP, pretty much like no matter what. So that's a funky timing, yeah. Scrolls in the middle of your combos are always kind of weird at the beginning with Soul or with the answer until you get a little bit more comfortable. Plus on blocks, you have to be careful. So I'll talk about this, and I won't pause as much because I like to talk about these things more in training mode, but it's important to remember that after Fafnir, generally, as answer, you're best at, like, if you're not in the corner, backdash is usually pretty hard for Soul to stop. If he does do Fafnir into Fafnir, you're gonna die, but Fafnir into Fafnir means you could have done, like, that far slash and it would work. Or, like, any small button and it would work. Sweep. Yeah, double set's cool. Actually, I'll just talk about some stuff. I'm not gonna keep pausing it, but I'll talk about stuff as I notice it, or I'll write it down in my notepad for the notes. Nice. Yeah, little too early on the jump kick and it didn't come out. I'm just writing stuff down, if you're wondering why I'm so quiet. Okay, card. We'll talk about the post-card situation too, because you're getting into the habit of doing it. It's just about knowing what to do after. Your dad. That's tough that jab was too far. You can safe jump here. Yeah. I generally make a habit of safe jumping here on triangle Okazama. I will mention this because it's not like too deep, but if somebody does not have 25 bar, like specifically like this, and I get this and they have a DP, I'm gonna dash to the other scroll. I'm gonna do the diagonal dash safe jump, because if I try to run the mix up and they decide to be brave, like I'm just gonna eat shit for it. And I don't have a reason to not run. Like, does that make sense? The thing is if they have 25 bar, maybe I have a reason not to safe jump them. But if they don't, it's like, I'm just going to safe jump you. You don't have a blitz to represent, so. I wonder if that's still a punish if it hits meaty. That was a good jab. That might have been a punish, the way he blocked that. Card. Into double set. Yeah, we'll talk about the double set thing. There's something like pretty applicable that I think helps a lot. I do it all the time. I think a lot of people have a hard time fighting answer when he tries to go for stuff like that. Oh, that would have worked. If you hit the super jump, that would have killed. Backdash, blitz. Nice. Entirely unrelated comment as I continue to watch and analyze, but I've been enjoying 2x KO so much. Game is so fun. I'm literally gonna play it like right after this. I'm probably gonna, I might stream it, I might not, but Nice safe jump. But watching Answer immediately reminded me nothing is quite like Exert Answer. Nothing hits quite like Exert Answer, man. Like, I watch Answer gameplay and I want to start playing Answer. That's the kind of character he is to me. Oof, that's tough. Every time I watch this character, I'm like, oh, dude, I want to play Answer. That's you watching Lychee? That's funny. I never would have pegged you as a Lychee player. She's cool, man. If I was a BlazBlue player, she's up there for me as like characters I would want to play. The staff was confusing, so I like at the time I was a scrub, so I didn't fuck with her. But these days I would definitely play a character like Lychee. Or Lychee. I don't know how do they say it? Feel free to type it. I've always said Lychee, but I think it's Lychee, right? It's like how they say it. Nice dash. That's a good habit. We'll watch this in like one more game too, by the way. That's a little spooky. I like that option though. It's gonna be a Fafnir and a Run Flame and a like third of your health. Believe it or not, that actually scales a lot. Actually, no, that was DP starter. I thought it was Fafnir starter. Half my health. Just a casual half my health. Nice. Yeah, always pick stand jab. Like light, not leech. Okay, so it is Lychee. Okay. It's gonna do a lot. And the blitz and 6H. Sure. Nice. That's a good escape. Boom, boom, boom. But you're out of the corner. Yeah. The hard part about fighting a soul that wants to play around big things like Bringer and Revolver all the time, the way he like keeps throwing them at you, is that those things are difficult if you can't make up for it on your offense. Exert is the kind of game where stuff like that is bad, not because it's just like, oh, it's so free to punish all the time. There's no like levels to it. That stuff is bad because giving up your turn in this game is bad, like very bad. But that's kind of what I mean. Like it boils down to like if you can't make people pay, then it'll start to feel like this guy just explodes me and I never explode him, and I don't want to gamble into these things anymore. That's kind of like the vibe that Exert turns into. If you're fighting somebody that just kills you better than vice versa. Yeah. Yeah. We got a couple pieces out of there. Actually, we have a ton of time. I'll watch like one more game. It explains a lot of special move Soul / Kai. Yeah, I mean, less Kai, a little bit more Soul, where it's just like all of Soul's big hits tend to turn into really easy combos if he wants to. He can do hard ones if he wants, but they also turn into easy combos. Oh, that was a nice combo, but man, do you not need those right now. I need to see you hit actual like regular scroll dash B&Bs a lot more before you start doing IAD combos. That was a nice conversion. Double set. I usually double set post super. You have a lot of frame advantage for it. And it's a hard knockdown. The super is a hard knockdown. So if you're not going to kill or you're nowhere near killing, you might as well get 2 scroll sets. Because this knocks down after the hit. No matter what, even if you have a bajillion hits beforehand. You gotta learn easy soul combos. I teach you how gold burst. You just do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's like all you have to do with soul. Dust looping is hard combos. You don't have to do those. Soul's fun. Soul teaches you a lot about the game. But only if you kind of like want to learn those things, is the way I would put it. You could also just play Soul and not give a fuck. Bringer, space out. Yeah, I was gonna say a big part of it too is like, Soul is scarier the more, it's less about these. These are not that big a deal. They crank a lot of risk and that's a big deal. But honestly, blocking gun flames is a lot scarier versus Soul. And what I'm trying to get at is like letting the gun flames happen is like what is killing you more on average in these sets than the bringers or whatever. The bringers are cranking your wrist like comical amounts, which is bad. But the actual like Fafnir, or sorry, like gun flame into Fafnir into something is like, that situation is what's actually killing you most of the time. And that has a lot to do with like not wanting to jump as much, which again turns into like, well, if he does bringer and other things, then you keep getting caught. And a lot of it is just getting better at punishing him for doing bringers and stuff like that. That's the thing, Gummy, is you shouldn't try to react to Gunflame. You just kind of have to try to punish. It's less about reacting to Gunflame and more about reacting to the button that will probably go into Gunflame is usually what you focus on. Honestly, Slayer has better options blocking Gunflame than some other people. Some people are so down bad after they block Gunflame. Slayer's okay, but it's never a good thing for anybody. So, like, I'll show it as it happens, but, like, it kind of happened there, but a lot of the idea is essentially you're trying to learn to pay attention to, more than anything else, this button. If you see, like, this button, you kind of start to just make assumptions about what's going to happen. Whether you think you should call out the bringer or the Gunflame. But if it's Gunflame, it's got to be preemptive. Like, if you do it preemptively, kind of, you'll get those punishes on the Gunflame cancels. Again, Soul's a little hard at the beginning because his downside is supposed to be, like, if you're right there, he loses his turn and not a lot of other... So, like, right there, right, you kind of have to guess with whatever he's doing. And off of this button, every time you see 5H, so he's going to do it again in, like, a second. This button is always Gunflame, Bringer / Revolver, but the way he's playing, probably Bringer, because he's just trying to teach you how to deal with it. Or instant air dash. It's like those three options every time. No, don't jump forward. The thing about Gunflame is you have to kind of be aggressive and, like, air dash at him. We'll talk about it after this match, because we're going to talk about all this stuff anyway. Should kill. Just do whatever. JH. Yeah, he messed it up. But yeah, we'll talk about a little bit of the Soul defense again. Again, it's harder in the sense that you don't kill him effectively enough, or you don't make him hate his life enough in neutral for him to, like, regret losing his turns. Because you do call out, like, some of the bringers and some of those, like, you are getting those punishes, but it's a lot of him getting to survive after. That is the life of a Soul player that just is fighting somebody that is not punishing. It's pretty much like what Meta Regress was saying, where it's like special move Souls and stuff like that get to exist because they're just not getting punished hard enough for it a lot of the times, and the reward on those special moves is good. But what I'm getting at is when you see, like, this button, it's not that you want to do this. This is okay, but it's not that good. You actually want to do something more like this. But that is not on reaction. Right? But I get about 30% of Soul's health doing that. Right? Again, that's preemptive, though. I do that when I see 5H and block it. Like, when I get here, I'm already mentally telling myself, I'm going to air dash because I think Soul is going to do Gunflame. But that's not on reaction. It's never on reaction. It's always like, oh, he's going to do Gunflame. Right? So, that's kind of the thing, is like, you're not trying to react to that. It's an educated gamble for sure. With the idea being that your reward here is a lot better when you're right than Soul's if he does this. It's just a knockdown. I got 30%, he gets a knockdown. Bringer is the one where he gets better reward if he gambles on this, like this, and you do, say, like this. Then he gets, like, half your health too. But Bringer is bad in the sense that if you instant block this, or, like, do whatever, right? Like, Blitz is another good one. Let me see. It's a little farther out, so it might be tougher. Yeah, he's a little too far. I guess this is the one where you would just 6p it, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, that's not that bad. But yeah, the idea is, like, if I IB this and I'm close enough, this is always the punish. But even if it's not, like, the thing is look, even this Bringer, I'm pretty sure, is, yeah, it's dead even. It's 0 on block. So it's like, you can kind of hold up after it, honestly. Like, if he does, so if he does this, and picks his fastest button, we'll say. Why did that hit me? Oh, first hit only. That's a little too far. Or a little too close. Even if he did this. Because he's 0 on block, it means you can probably still just hold up and Soul can't really stop it easily. Right? And Bringer is his highest rewarding option. Like if he hits it. So if you just regular block it, you can just jump out. Right? But the thing I'm trying to emphasize more is in order for you to disincentivize Soul players from Gunflame, you have to start to get better at identifying where they're doing it. What button is the button they're pressing before they pick Gunflame a lot of the times, and then just learning to air dash gamble. Yeah, it's that simple. That's a good starting point. Obviously, some dude's gonna pop in and be like, but you can do the throw option select if you do this. And it's like, yes, but that's hard to do consistently. If you want to practice the throw option select, it's good. Basically, the same idea applies, except when you see this, when you see that normal, instead of gambling the way I'm telling you to try, you input throw option select. You press up forward and then forward punch and forward heavy together like this. So you do your throw OS, but in the air like this. So. Right, and like you can't visually see it, but like if I do it like this, and I do it correctly, yeah, I throw him, right? See? And if I miss the throw for whatever reason, or like let's say he does Gunflame, then it looks like this. Ah, shoot. Like that. See? And you recover fast enough, and that's the option select. If you want to practice it, go for it. You just do the option select, jump forward, throw option select, the same way. The same way that when you see that button and are like, huh, I should air dash if he does Gunflame. It's the same thing. It's just this is going to catch all of the things that is hard to time. Yeah, it's I don't do this. I just like don't do it. I could. If I fight a Soul player that starts fucking me up hard enough, I'll probably practice this option select. But I haven't had to cross that bridge yet, so it hasn't been the thing I practice. I have not felt like that's the reason why when people are like, oh, the OS, I'm like, dude, I fight Souls without this OS. Like I've never done this option select, and that I don't believe many people would consider me like bad in general or versus Soul. Like that it's like you don't need it is what I'm getting at. All of my defense is, you know, outside of that. But if you want to practice it, go for it. I'm just saying that's not what I'm telling you to do. But yeah, if you want to practice it, go for it. It's just like I said, I fight foot fine without it. I usually don't like seeing people try something that's just gonna get them killed more frequently. But if you want to practice the option select, yeah, go for it. I just say it so you know it exists, but you don't need to do it. It is good though if you learn it. Why do you need to do the throw option select? Because Revolver won't get it won't get hit. Like the JP is usually what hits the Bringer, but this is a lot of the times too fast to do the JP and like get it. So like if you do this and you do the throw OS, a lot of the times like Revolver is like what you're doing the throw OS for. So like I'll just do a closer one. Let's have him do it off of like this. That should be a little better. Ah, dude, I hate this one. Like that. It's for Revolver, because Revolver has a tendency to trade with jump punches because of how fast it is compared to Bringer. And the trade is in his favor a lot of the times. Because he'll tech and he'll get the knockdown on you. But it's because of the Revolver, not the Bringer. If you do it correctly, this is how you know you're doing the option select correctly, is if you're throwing him out of Bringer a lot of the times out of Revolver. Little sword on it. Yeah, like that. It's because of that. Because look, if I just jump in JP, like it'll be one of those things where it's like I'll get that a lot, or I might trade or whatever. But it's usually for Revolver so that this doesn't happen. It's just a speed thing. Otherwise, JP is also pretty good. But that extra OS helps you out of that situation. The other thing I was going to say, so in regards to Soul specific in the matchup, if you're gonna paying attention to 5H will help you understand more where you should gamble if you're going to do it. The other thing I was gonna say is if you see Soul jumping like ever as answer, just 2k a lot. I like almost never 6p in this matchup. There are some situations where yes, you should 6p. If this is coming from downtown, yes, do the 6p. Right? Because this is just like the punish or whatever. But honestly, a lot of the times versus Soul, I don't do this. Because this tends to clash like that. See? That's why that button is good. So you do this every time instead. If you press 2k like this versus his jump-ins, you always low profile it. And then you go into your pressure. The thing that's awkward is you don't get a punish, but Soul never gets to start his offense from jump-ins. Like it feels weird because you're never directly punishing Soul for jumping, but Soul is never running his offense off of jump-ins. Usually the thing that's frustrating is when Soul does this to you. Right? Like let's say you whiff a button like this, and then you just have to block Soul's jump H, and now it's his turn, right? And this happens all the time with people. You do this, and then it's just like, there you go. Like, Soul does rising JP, descending JH, and it's his turn, right? But Answer never has to deal with that. You just always press 2k, and it doesn't matter if he does something like this, because you'll just recover fast enough, and you'll do it again. If he does, like, oh, I'm gonna 2k, you just always, I kid you not, if he jumps again, just do it again. Like, the only thing Soul can do to try to bait it is this. And this also, depending on the timing, will not be a punish. Like, if he does it, like, right here to try to get, like, a 6p or something, and you do this, you'll always block afterwards. So he should basically never get a punish. At best, he'll make you block like this. And that's plus on block a little bit. It's +2. I don't think you can do this with any other button, Sammy, because Answers 2k has upper body coded into it. Like it has like it low profiles, it's coded that way. It's like Axel's 2k. It's not a thing everybody gets to do. It's specifically because like he just can't get hit by this. Like I'll try to show the interaction as it's happening, but you see this frame, like this is why he doesn't ever get hit here. Because he just has, like, coded invul. It's, like, very weird to show. But look at this frame. Like, Soul's jump heavy is inside of Answer already. And it just doesn't make contact. You can try it, but I don't think it'll work with everybody's 2k. Because Answers is special. It's like a better Axel 2k, basically. But yeah, in this matchup, always just press 2k low pros, too. Is what you think. Does Eno have upper body on her 2k? That's weird. I didn't know that. If you whiff it, just hold back and don't press 5p. Yes. I mean, I just press this all the time. And if it makes contact, a lot of the times I was already pressing S behind it, like as a buffer, like this. So I'm pressing my jump S, or I'm pressing my 5S, like as soon as I press this. So if he gets hit, like, I'll just get it. See? That's why I, like, never think about it. Basically, if I touch him because he jumps into me correctly, like, and I do it correctly, it just looks like this. Like, and it's every time. He has to do something more like this to catch it, and even these are inconsistent. Like, look at that shit. There it is. But it's like, dude, it's so good. Anytime Soul's in the air, just... And if he's kind of running away from you, you can chase him down a lot of the times with 2k, specifically. But yeah, do that versus Soul a lot. That's, like, important to understand. It does a lot for him. Answer, that is, in this matchup. It means that all of Soul's autopilot habits of jumping out of Answer's pressure don't work if you just run underneath him and press 2k again. Or see him jump and then press 2k. As long as you're ending up, like, directly underneath him, a lot of the times, the only thing he can do is try to jump S, and then you can 6p that. Every time. But most Soul players are not mentally ready to do that yet. They're just so used to this being unstoppable. The other thing I was going to say, the other two things are more like general advice. But I noticed you did a lot of double scroll set like this. That's fine. I actually think it's good. Like, there are some matchups, it's all personal preference with Answer, slash matchups. There are some matchups where I essentially forego, like, any real Okazeme in exchange for 2 scrolls. But what I'll say is if you do this, there is something that I always recommend every Answer player do. And it's don't go to this scroll. That scroll is already, like, too hard to get to consistently. Go to the one that's above you, like this. And always dash through them like that. That's, like, a very good thing to do early on. Because most people recognize that they did not get put in an Okazeme situation versus you. So, you started doing it. Doing real okie because you just didn't want to deal with. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's exactly the reason why I do stuff like this. Is if you don't want to deal with RPSing, that's fine. What I was gonna say is you can do something like this. And usually the way it works is by the time somebody processes that they're not in Okazeme, this is the kind of game where most people jump out of disadvantage, like all the time. So if you dash up a lot of the times, people will have this mentality. Oh, I didn't get meaty. Let me hold up. And they always dash into this scroll. Like this scroll dash tends to hit a lot of people. Right? And what I usually do is I actually don't usually cling to the scroll that's there. Because if they instant block it, they can kind of like coincidentally throw you. If they say like did this, they can throw you before you can act. Because clinging to scrolls is only strike invulnerable, not throw invulnerable. So like, if they do the throw, like, right there at the right timing, they'll get you. So what I do is I do this. I just dash through. I just cover the space. And the reason being, if you jump into me like this, I messed it up. Let's say you jump into me like this. Oh my god, this is gonna be weird because of the recording. Let me see if I got it there. The extra like hit adds a little bit of a timing to it. But the idea is, and if I don't get it, I'll just explain it. But you want it a little bit later than that. You want to cross him up sort of on this end. Because once you stomp through him, it has enough blocks in, it's going to force him to the ground again. In other words, I'll show you. Like, I'll pause it on the frame. So, oh my god. Let me hold up forward once I get knocked down. So, when they block this, Answer Scroll Dash has so much, like, block stun on it. They're going to touch the floor again. They have to. Once they block this, they have to touch the floor again. If they instant block, they might be able to like double jump or something, but most people aren't ready to do that. So what I do is I don't cling to that scroll. I dash through them instead as Answer. And what ends up happening is as Answer, you'll end up, let me just show it. So you'll kind of jail them back down and they'll end up here. And you have a scroll to use immediately, a scroll above them, and a scroll behind them. Right? This is basically if you double set scrolls, just go to the high one and then horizontally dash through them. It's a really good positional thing and it tends to punish the people's like go-to habit. And the other thing is, let's say this guy didn't do anything, like it's not that bad. You still land on a scroll and in a situation where a lot of times you're fine. But again, most people are not going to wait there. Like most people do not see this situation and decide to continue blocking. It's pretty rare. A lot of times they jump into you. And so you'll get the scroll dash. I do that a lot in some matchups where I don't want to RPS on wake up. I do it a lot versus Slayer. Because they all tend to like RPS on wake up anyway. And dashing up there is pretty safe because like the way that you do it is like, let's say you do this and he DPs, like that's fine. I don't really care that much about that because I think you can actually just wait like that. I'll just do this instead. Right? You can still dash away off of these, and let's say he did nothing and he was still blocking over here. There's still like 3 scrolls near him. He's not in a good situation. He has to either run into you or give up space and go into your scrolls more. It's a positional thing. As long as you get these out, a lot of the times it's about caging your opponent in. Like if this guy didn't jump and I did this, I would probably go to this and then do that. And now he's still positioned in my scrolls, and if I get a piece set, it's even better. This is sort of like how you play Answer without committing all the time. But my point, if you do this, just dash through them and stomp around where this scroll is. That's a good thing to do. The last thing I'll talk about a bit, because I think it's important too, is the post 2S situation. Post card situation. Just press 2S, man. Like, you keep ending up here a lot, and that's fine. This is a good habit, especially in this matchup. You just press 2S a lot. Not all the time, but that's like your default option a lot of the time. And I'll show you why a little bit. I need to like flip these again to show it. But in a lot of matchups, not just this one, anyone that's kind of slow to move on the ground or kind of loses to your pokes has a hard time versus this. Because the way the Answer does this, let me see if I can get this correctly. So let's say I do this. Oh my god. Right? This does not hit, but that's fine. That's not why you're pressing this. You're pressing this to stop people moving forward, not continue your offense. If this guy air dashes and I crouch, jab always hits. If you do it, if you know, kind of space this well, the idea is, let's say I press 2S right now, I still recover and I get this. Right? And you press jab because it's a better punish. Like you do on midweights, you get to do jab, close slash 1, 6K, and you get a whole BMB. Right? So this guy can't air dash. Even if he air dashes over the 2S, the spacing is always in my favor, and I get a BMB. Right? So, okay, well, what if he runs forward and presses a button instead, right? Let me try like this, right? If you do this, and let's say he runs forward, this is gonna be kind of weird at time, but he'll run into the 2S, and I don't just press 2S. My inputs look like this a lot of the times here. You press 2S and you press 5H, like, immediately. Kind of like the 2K close slash thing, where it's like, I do them like this. You're buffering it, because you only want that other hit to come out if they run forward. Right? But the idea is, if you do something like this when you're playing the situation as answer, on block, it looks like you're doing nothing but 2S. Like this. Right? But on this situation, the 5H will come out. And if I see I hit them, the card is out. So I do a combo. Right? You just press 2S and you buffer 5H a lot, if that's what you're going for. Like this. And now when the card is out, like let's say the card is here and he runs into my 2S, which is what I want to happen, I'll get 5H. And if you want to just like go into card anyway, that's fine because you're plus on block. Usually I will try to avoid using the summon if I didn't hit them, because to me that's what the summon's good for. But honestly at the beginning it's fine to just always do this and then summon if it hit them for any reason, whether they blocked or not. But the trick is, like, I'm not actually moving forward, right? Like, I'm just checking space, right? And you might be like, all right, well then what's the point? Like, why do you do this if nothing happens? Because eventually people get sick of running into this or getting anti-aired by jab, right? The two fastest things that somebody can do here are air dashing or running forward, right? There is no in between. This only gets a little bit tricky in hard matchups, right? You cannot do this versus Slayer. You cannot do this versus Milia and Jam because of their air dash properties. They have a button that hits behind them, and that's a big deal, right? But a lot of characters with like conventional movement here will get checked by this situation. If they have to move into you or air dash above you, like traditionally, then that's good for answer. You just kind of press 2S as your default option, and it's good here. If they're finally sick of letting you catch them for free, then you just continue your offense, right? The idea is like you're not plus enough to continue your offense by default, but eventually people will get sick of this option. So you just run forward. Like you'll just do this and then micro dash 2S like that. And you'll get a combo started. You'll get a block string started. Right? And the idea is like, the one thing I didn't cover is somebody can block this. Whoops. Somebody can block this and then backdash. And you're like, well, what do I do there? That's fine. The situation is good for answer. You just set P scrolls and wait. Right? I have a card out. Anything on the ground in this proximity will trigger a combo, because I'm just going to clone and get a combo. And any anti-air I get now will turn into knockdowns via these scrolls. Answer wants space in most matchups. That's not a problem. So when people run away from me, that's never a thing I'm usually worried about as answer. Right? My thing is like, you give up space. Space means I get these. These mean I skip neutral. Right? And now I play for bigger reward than you off of these. Right? That's like pretty much it. Those are like the big things I noticed is... In the Soul matchup specifically, pay attention to what button he's canceling into special moves and learn to RPS after that. Anytime Soul's in the air, just 2K under him. If you're not directly underneath him, run to be directly underneath him. Like if he's kind of like jumping around and doing like this and like just doing like whatever like that, kind of just shark him, stay underneath him, and then 2K is pretty good if you're gonna opt for being aggressive. But anytime he's in the air, 2K. And then answer specific stuff, whenever you're opting for Okazema like this, dash, and then try to do something like that. Positionally, you're in a great spot, and if they jump into you, you're in an even better spot to continue your offense. Because again, I don't want to dive into it too much. There's a lot of reasons, but like, let's say you want to just run in, you can do this and you have offense right off the bat, right? Let's say this guy starts to blitz here, that's fine. You have a high scroll. Go to the high scroll, and if he blitzes, he dies, right? You have enough control of these situations via the scrolls you just put up that a lot of the times you can play for risk reward pretty effectively as answer. And then the last thing with card is, in most matchups, you're going to find out the ones it's not good in. As long as you space the card pretty well, like this, where it kind of hits at the tip, just press 2S and make a habit. You were already doing it, but make sure you remember to do S card. S card is important because if you don't do S card and you do heavy card, your 2S, when it hits them, won't combo into the card that's all the way over here. You need the card that's closer. It's better on block, and it'll facilitate the combo if they run into the 2S 5H buffer like this. Sick. Yeah. Those are all pretty, like, answer fundamental things, for sure. For sure, the 2S thing after card is really important to understand. It helps answer a lot. Usually the matchups I dislike are the matchups it's hard to play like that in. And they're the ones where I start to think, like, maybe I do have to Resho more on block and stuff like that. But that's, like, a conversation for another time. But generally, that stuff, it also throws people off because a lot of people always are like, oh, wait for the scroll sets. And then you never set scrolls. So people get kind of, like, thrown off. It's like, huh, he's just kind of ending his block strings on card. And I can't air dash at him. And if they jump at you, that's fine. Usually I just backdash. I'm not that minus off whiffing 2S. Alright. Load up the next VOD. Oh, so we have extra time. I'm actually curious. I want to see the frame data and Hurtbox on Eno's 2K, because I don't think it's going to work. But if it does, that's messed up. Damn, 2-frame active is funny. No, I don't think that would work. Answers 2K is brolic, man. I'm looking at this Hurtbox, and I'm like, I don't think she gets low enough. Maybe, though. I'll test it later, out of curiosity. But I kind of doubt it. One of your biggest issues as an Eno player? What, 2 active frames? It's funny that she only has 2 on it, but it makes sense, I guess. Oh, true. It's a good low. The fact that it's 6 frames is pretty busted. Or 5 frames, excuse me. This frame, this button, all the time, and I mean all the time, I forget that Eno 6K, or 2K is 5 frames instead of 6. Like, that normal on paper looks like it should be maybe 7 to me. But I usually just assume that it's 6 because a lot of the buttons that look like that are 6 frames in the game. But it's not. It's better than that. So it's kind of nuts, honestly. You're used to like 30 active frames on lows? I mean, yeah. I can't believe you said 5K on... Well, no, 5K is pretty active. But, I always think of Kai 2D. Kai 2D takes the cake, man. That shit's unreal. What's this matchup? The Bike and Jam. Oh, cool. I didn't know if you knew I streamed these, even though it's in the description. When people start RPSing, what's 6B backdash? Used to have an easy answer. I mean, yeah. I still think it's funny I have to explain to people that Kai doing like 3 or 4 lows in a row is like very strong. That like a lot of people just don't know that other characters literally cannot do that. When I play Kai, playing strike throw is the easiest thing ever for me. Because it's just like, dude, I have so many. Give you a second? Come on. No, you're good. I'm gonna open the window and turn the fan on. But yeah, dude, strike throw with Kai, I could never imagine a comfier character. Fucking 8 lows and a ton of plus frames. It's so easy to strike throw with Kai. But I play Biken and I have 1 2K. 1 2K. That's it. That's all I got to my name. Well, and 6K, but you can just fuzzy jump on that shit. All I got to my name is fucking 2K as Biken. You're locked in? Hold on, me too. Let me turn this on. Oh, never mind. She's gonna fucking eat food. Hey, what's up, Niffy? Did Niffy win UFO or whatever it was called? Good stuff. Nice, good stuff. Niffy won it last time, didn't he? Let me double check, because I gotta start the timer anyway on this. You lost to PETA? I couldn't remember. There was a time you beat PETA, and then I guess this was the last time was the time you lost to PETA. Because I saw the one where you beat PETA too. He was looking like he did not know the Soul matchup that one time, bro. Oh yeah, Summit was there. Yeah, Summit definitely is not in a... That's a... Soul's a rough character to come back to, man. As him playing like predominantly Strive, coming back to Exert Soul as Exert Chip, bro's just asking to die. That's a lot of RPS. Neutral and defense? Okay. I'll restart this. Okay. We'll talk about... So, I think this matchup is pretty even. I think theoretically maybe Jam has the edge if she like really masters the matchup, but Biken's pretty freaking good, man. That I don't really think it's that bad. I think the neutral at a surface level should be very stressful for a character like Jam, but the offense is pretty potent if she's not careful. And then as far as the Jake Paul Mike Tyson thing, I would say it's less a Mike Tyson Jake Paul thing, and it's more like he was not ready to come back to a matchup like that, I'm sure. Summit's still really solid, but I imagine like any matchup where it's just like guess for your life in the next 2 interactions is not fun to come back to. You're like slightly off and you will die. But he's fine outside of that. He looked pretty good at Frosties. Then again, he like really de-rusted for Frosties. Nice, gets the hit. Yeah, backdash is tough to use. I use backdash, like drive-by advice. In other words, I won't elaborate. Backdash Azami is pretty good versus Jam. Because generally her shit is so fast, she'll catch you anyway pressing a button. But like stuff like Azami, Rokonsogi there will usually work. I use that a lot versus characters that are good at catching actions after backdash. Not the backdash itself, but actions after the backdash. It's pretty good. Okay. And then as far as, so a lot of the neutral to me in this matchup is good utilization of jump S and Tatami. It does a lot for Biken. There's sort of like a range that is helpful to stay at. I almost always kind of approach her and then retreat, and then approach her and retreat, because the idea is, I think if they play it correctly as Jam, then she should be kind of on the defensive end, even though it looks like Rage Scorpion is generally defaulting to be a little bit more aggressive. Fuck ad, dude. I wish every day so badly I could unaffiliate my channel. I swear I get more ads because of it. Every day, every time, man. You're back. You didn't miss much. All I said is that normally I think Jam should play more on the defensive end, but that I think a lot of Jams are usually aggressive by default. And I think that's actually better for Biken in neutral. I think this matchup is harder if they play like this, but get cards as they do it. And Rage Scorpion mostly looks like they're just doing a good job of not running into things, but they're still trying to get close to you. As long as Jam isn't charging cards, I don't really mind the neutral too much. That's not active anymore. Clashes will get rid of the active frame on that. Nice. That was going to be a funky confirm. The wall bounce was a little off anyway. And then we'll talk about the defense a little bit. I mean, Biken's job is a little bit easier versus a character like Jam on the defense. I will maybe cop out a little bit and say I have quite literally already covered Jam's offense in a different YouTube video of like VOD reviews, because I get a lot of the "Can you teach me how to fight Jam?" So it's like it's the same concepts. It's actually applicable to like basically everybody because they're universal concepts for sure. So I might just pull that up too, and you can go watch that like 20 minutes. But I will cover it too. There's some stuff that Baiken gets to do. That's a punish. This matchup is scary for Baiken. I think any matchup where the strike throw is really potent. She does a lot of damage when she's carded. That it's an easy matchup to not enjoy as Baiken. Azami's overall effectiveness is a little bit more limited in this one, or at least it's a little harder to use, I think is a better way to put it. It's still really good actually, but it's harder to do successfully. She's just so fast. It's kind of hard to know where and how to use it compared to like slower characters and stuff. It's a little too high. Yeah. Oh, that sucks. I've been there. I do that exact thing on accident. Like, I know I shouldn't, but I get the Arxis backdash and it turns into that. But yeah, I would say right now a big thing is, and I think there's a lot to be said about when it comes to neutral for bike and stuff. I think it's really easy to tunnel vision and see like myself or Mystic play and go, wow, that's a lot of Kita Tatame. I cannot do all those Kita Tatames. But you kind of don't need them for a long time. I'm like a firm believer that you don't actually need Kita Tatame until you are like a lot better. Kita Tatame is very good. It is redefining for Baiken's neutral. It quite literally restructures like how you get to play her neutral if you can do it on command. But she doesn't need it, is the way I would put it. Some people need things, like to be able to do them. If you can't PK combo as Jam, Godspeed, because you're gonna need those. You're gonna need that damage. But Baiken, it's not that big a deal. Nice, gets the throw. That I'm gonna talk about. I'm basically just gonna cover some of the neutral stuff I do with Baiken, because some general stuff that's good versus everybody too. Not even Jam. Baiken plays the neutral pretty similarly to a lot of people. You're addicted to the fuzzy? Yeah, the offensive, the F Shiki is pretty good until people get better at stopping it. You'll also probably notice when I play, I don't actually F Shiki people that much. The punishment for being wrong is too rough at high level, so I don't get to do it all that much. But it's nice because like you can just run people over when you represent it. This could kill. Actually, no, it can't. I forgot he used the card. Charge. Oh, that's greedy. You can mash out of that kind of full charge into waiting for the actual like regular get up off the knockdown is definitely mashable. Not that I'm implying you should have. I'm just saying like that's risky on their part. Boom, boom. That's a hit. That's kind of far, but Jam's got a pretty forgiving hurt box. That's far, but Jam's got a forgiving hurt box. Yeah, we'll talk. There's definitely like the thing about this matchup is this matchup to me in neutral, it reminds me of like the Marvel 3 top 8 I love watching from like Frosty Fostings 2019. I've seen that top 8 like 8 times, but there's a distinct line in there where Yipes is like, I'm not gonna go in until I get the assist poppin', because I think the person fighting resets like 3 times in a row with Doom missiles because the Doom missile doesn't quite hit right, and he just resets and then he calls Doom missile again, and then he resets and he calls Doom missile again. Tatami in this matchup is a lot of the times it's like, I'm not gonna approach until I get the Tatami popping. Like, I don't really ever fight Jam without like setting up Tatami in a way to help protect my approach. And it has a lot to do with the fact that she's very fast. So hitting her with actual normals is a little tricky. But Tatami is active for a bajillion years if you do it in the air. So it's a lot more successful at that. You don't have to take notes. I kind of like talk about this as it's happening, but I'll talk about everything in training mode. I try not to pause mid-match because I'd rather show examples in training mode. But I'm mostly just paying attention to like the things that you're fishing for in neutral. I haven't been paying too much attention to defense, but it seems mostly like you would benefit a lot from doing the fuzzy guard versus Kara cancel overhead from Jam, and a little bit less holding up. Some faultless defense and then understanding where she resets her pressure to are important. Yeah, like there, I would run away. This matchup is, and I'm not usually a guy like, despite playing Baiken, on God, I swear, on God, I have never gotten negative penalty when I've played this game. I actually kid you not, I do not remember the last time I've ever gotten the penalty, let alone the warning. And that's saying a lot because I play Baiken. But this is the kind of matchup where I get pretty close sometimes to getting it. Like the warning, that is. Nice air throw. Neutral jump to Tommy. Oh, you can neutral jump to Tommy that. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at playing defensive, I think. So I generally play relatively aggressive with Baiken. And luckily for me, she's good at it. So it's easy to play aggressive when any retaliation is scary. I keep that Azami on me. Nice. I like the 2D. I like when people, like, you don't have to do Kita Tatami for all your Oki. I will, yeah, I was gonna say Kabari is also really good for Okizeme, on run-up Okizeme. There's some other stuff I've been trying, but it just depends what I'm feeling like doing. Nice, got the hit. Oh, that was kind of adamant, chasing the tech back. This doesn't kill, but it's close. Next hit kills. Oh, that happens to me too. Good Azami. That's pretty good versus her, specifically. Oh, I've been there. I love seeing that shit. I love seeing people's 4H touch my Azami. Nice. You love these albums? This has been my go-to review, is the Toho music. We'll talk about this. Spending, I'd rather teach you, I'll make a note of it. I'll teach you how to play this situation. I don't actually think, even if you doubt, because the knockdown would not have worked there, but I never, and I mean never, let me see. I never spend bar for the knockdown. I've come to the conclusion it's not really worth it. It depends on the matchup, I guess, but unless I have 100 bar, it's very, very rare I ever do it. I think that's like the main thing I'll have to remember. But yeah, but my point is I'll teach you how to play the situation. There's a way to play this pretty effectively as Baiken on this hit. All right, here before you super, there's like a good way to play the reset. There are specific things I try to do is kind of like what I'm getting at. Besides just the Kabari reset. Everybody does the Kabari reset, but there are actually like way better things to do. Wow, Jam 2D is so fast. This matchup's hard. This matchup will test how fast you can mash Azami because some things are only a punish if you mash Azami very quickly. Okay. There is one thing I haven't noticed that's pretty good. I'll talk about it some more. So far slash Susan on air throw is one of them. There's another one that I do a lot of. Far slash Susan on air throw is good versus the people that delay versus the Kabari. That's usually like the RPS. Send it. All right. I think that's it, right? Oh, it's True Grands. We'll watch like one game of True Grands, but I have more than enough to like talk about at this point. That we don't really have to like watch the entirety of it. We can just kind of watch the rest of this. Oh, it's tough. You ran a little too far forward. Yeah, so this is kind of where I think Jam is a little bit more annoying, is when she plays more oriented towards getting cards, because Baiken is hard at, she has a hard time chasing Jam down because of how fast Jam is. And Baiken lacks meaningful full screen options is the way I would put it. Or like not meaningful, but I guess, you know, like bigger rewarding full screen options is what she lacks. She has no threat. I think it's one of her only downsides is the fact that resetting at full screen, Baiken presents no like threat to the opponent. So I think getting cards is like very viable. It's I think really like her most notable downside, and is kind of why I just play aggressive personally. I have a hard time just like sitting still when I don't get anything off of it. Oh, that was a nice delay. That was a really nice delay. Ashing. Yeah, I would say the other thing is I don't spend much time on the ground in this matchup. I don't think that it benefits Baiken. She's got some pretty nice normals, and they actually do potentially outrange Jam. But jam is one so fast it doesn't really work out the way you think in terms of spacing normals. And the other thing is they don't really lead to anything substantial. Compared to if you were to play off of the air more with tatami is usually the reason why you default to it more. The reset was a good. That actually was too late on the 2D. You're just slightly. Funny enough, that was not necessarily the right response because you can throw now. You could have already like you take a step before. This could have been a throw on the 2D. It's just coincidence. It was just a little too slow. But that 2D, as soon as I saw the 2D, I was like, no, that was throwable. The throw after season 1 was just a little late. All right, we'll talk about some stuff. There's a couple things. They feel a little bit weird maybe at the beginning to do. Let me re-plug my pad in since I'll actually technically need it more than my stick now. But yeah, essentially, I think a lot of the neutral. I'll show some examples of stuff. Of like what I usually fish for and how you utilize tatami, especially against a character like this. To usually just make neutral a lot more of a pain in the butt for her. Well, I'll talk about the defense a little bit, but I'll probably just link the video I did where I told Bridge how a lot of JM offense works and pretty much how like anybody can beat it. But yeah, so let me get rid of this too. In neutral, a lot of times what I look for is I kind of like I'll present forward movement like this, but it'll usually be like a hop forward like this, right? So in other words, like I'll jump and I'll hold forward while running, and I will retreating tatami like this. And the idea is that that space is now occupied. Right here, that tatami is now a problem. You have to give up space into it, right? So the trick is, let's say everybody's kind of moving around. You don't approach all the way to jam or whoever you're fighting. You can kind of do this in a lot of Baiken matchups, not just jam. It tends to work out better the more restricted their air movement is as a character. The more grounded they are, even though jam has got some pretty good air movement, she doesn't spend that much time in the air. She's just fast on the ground most of the time. The idea is like I'll kind of get to around here more or less versus the opponent, and I'll do like a rising JP. The rising JP is mostly if I just get lucky and let's say I do this, then I'm probably just gonna get that anyway. So you kind of like preemptively air to air in a situation like this, and if you get no hit, then you back off into tatami like this. And I guess like a lot of people would say like, well, how does this work? How do you make contact eventually? And that's the idea is like if you were to get close enough to the opponent and do this, the tatami actually does hit them. Jumping like right above somebody like this and then backing off and putting the tatami out, it's there and it's plus and it's your turn now, right? So it looks kind of like this. If people get too passive, you just make contact for free, right? And think about it. If I was the opponent and I see her kind of running and into this space a lot of the times, what am I probably going to do? It's probably air to air, right? Like a lot of times, a lot of people will just air to air you. Something important to note is that 6Ps do not work here, right? Like if you jump here, a lot of characters might be like, well, I'll just 6P you. But that's not going to work because Baiken will leave something on top of you like that. A lot of characters like Kai and Sin and characters like that get thrown off because normally when you see something like this, you just press your really good anti-air. And if they back off, then nothing happens, right? But Baiken breaks that rule because she puts something on top of you, right? You, with your anti-air normal, like you pick a trajectories where it's like, oh, I can just anti-air. And she puts tatami out and the end lag of your 6P gets caught. And she gets free run-ups. So you cannot be passive. You can't just 6P in this spot all the time. You'll see a lot of me retreating like that and getting people. Right? So in one sequence, you're air-to-airing as Baiken. If it hits, you kind of just wait and try to react and see if you can do JSJD and get a knockdown. If it doesn't, then you retreat and you put tatami out. And tatami is now a problem for them. Most people are not going to just sit by and let you do this shit once they realize what's happening. And that's why you start to do it a little bit farther away, right? Like, you start to do... That's also why you'll see me do rising jump S like this. If you do, like, a rising jump S correctly, like the moment you can do it, if you do as soon as it lets you do it, she actually recovers. Jump S recovers after. If you just have to do it, if you do it a little slow like this, you won't get it. Right? Like if you do it like up here, it's like, oh, you don't get it. But if you do a rising jump S, you can do the same thing still. It's kind of nuts, actually. This is very good for Viking. I do it all the time. Right? Because now if the jam, for whatever reason, thinks, I don't want the Viking to run up right above me, I want to air, etc., then you would do something like this. It's like, ooh, I got a hit, right? Because if I was to commit to the thing I'd been doing before, then let's say I do this. Oh my god, it's so hard to show because I have to like jump into her. Oh, dude, it's so good. But let's say she's like doing this, right? Like she's kind of preemptive and she's catching me. Then from further away, you could just do jump S instead. And it does the same thing. It's just further away. The reason you usually do the jump punch is because you're kind of closer when you're doing it. Like if you're over here, you want something faster. Right? But all you need to know is moving forward a bit and kind of backing off into tatami like this is an amazing way to punish people. Just remember to throw your jump punch out. If people start to get better at realizing that all you do is jump forward, air dash back tatami, you do jump forward, air dash back, jump S. And whatever they're doing, and I kind of mean whatever, I have yet to find something that is good at covering both of these options, really. Because usually what the defender has to do is something like this, right? So like if I do like this and I back off into, oh my god, this is weird a time, like this, they'll run forward and catch me retreating because they know that's my goal all the time. I'm never actually trying to like land on them, even though I could just land on them with like jump punch like that. That's why this angle is so good, right? Because it's like you can't stick a button out while she's running forward because tatami's there. I can also just commit to from the momentum, committing to the rest of my jump in, right? That you're like, okay, well then I'll just run forward. I don't want to deal with the tatami and I don't want to run into anything. So what if I run forward, right? Then she just presses jump S like that. When people chase the retreat, and jump S always hits them. The thing about jump S is that it doesn't lead to anything, but that's kind of not the point. The point is that you just kind of stick it out, and if they ran forward, you get them no matter what. And you are technically plus on hit, so you still have the position to run forward potentially and extend. But yeah, a lot of forward into back momentum is like very good for biking. Once people don't want to hang out in the air because you're doing a good job of like air to airing like this, or if they do an air approach at the wrong time, like they see you jump forward and they air to air and then they do it, a lot of times they'll jump into tatamis that you're doing and you'll get the air hit and you'll just combo, right? So people kind of get sick of waiting around, or not waiting around, running into it. Once people do stay on the ground a little bit more, you just do this a lot. And this covers a lot of people for a long time. This is not infallible. There are different things people can do about it, and you're gonna find out that people are gonna be able to do things about it. But this is good. I just mentioned it because I didn't see it in that set. Like, this option is just smart to introduce if people stay on the ground too much. Yeah, what I was gonna say is if people just mash throw, then just do jump H like this instead. As long as you space this correctly from like a more mid-range like this, you can still get jump heavy like this, and that's what you do instead. The problem is you can't use it to cheat neutral from as farther away anymore. You can also do this, and it will guarantee that you don't get thrown or anything like that. But I generally steer away from using meter personally, right? It depends. It's not that it's bad to use it. I like to keep meter for this. Right? So you won't see it as frequently from me. But there are things like you can do this, and it will kind of like guarantee the block. Because the tatami becomes like active before you can get thrown out of it. But also, like, as long as you're not this far away, if you're like this close, jump heavy will hit like that. And now it's just, you're super plus on block anyway. Like, if I do this, I'm probably like double digit plus. Oh, never mind. I'm only +8. That's less plus than I thought, but +8 is nothing to scoff at. Right? But yeah, a lot of that is just learning to readjust it. Also, people that learn to just wait around for jump S means they stick on the ground enough that you can do stuff like this. There's a lot of neat little magic tricks that you can do with tatami and a lot of momentum, right? Nothing hits at this distance, right? Like, except maybe jump S. If you kind of glide, if you dash and then neutral jump, your character kind of drifts a little bit in this game. This is true for everybody that has a run, right? As Baiken, you can do that to slowly creep into an un-anti-airable range of jump S like that. So it harasses them if they press anti-airs. You can also do it to sneak into a range where a neutral jump tatami will still splat onto them, right? This punishes people who just wait around and are like, I'm just going to stand and block, you know, whatever she's doing, or I'm going to wait and then throw the tatami or whatever. You do that, and then eventually enough respect is earned that you can air dash in off your offense. People don't want to anti-air as soon as they see you jump, because what if she does tatami and my 6P I did preemptively now eats shit, you know? So yeah, eventually you'll scare people into letting you get that air dash, right? Because of the threat of things like this, right? You'll see me fish for this spacing a lot, like that. Don't worry about this one as much, honestly. But it's more like just use more tatami. Do more of this and air to air with jump S. And this tatami is pretty solid because even when it doesn't connect into anything, the entire space it occupies, you can't press a button, right? Like, the thing is you would think like, well, what's the big deal? It means you can run forward all the way up until that tatami and you're not worried about anything as Viking. Because let's say you're Jam and you're like, well, screw that. I'm just going to press 2D because he's doing like this and running up and I'm going to catch the run up or whatever. You can't do that. Because if I do this and she sticks out 2D, like, let me see if I can get the timing. See? Like, you'll kind of stick your hands into the tatami, no matter what. That's why it's also good even when it's not hitting people. It also means some people will start to jump over this because they can't run through you. So you buffer the up claw. This is also like a Baiken fundamentals thing. You do this, and then you buffer the up claw because they can't go through you, so they have to go above you. And this is surprisingly effective at catching a lot of people for a lot of good reward. Similarly, you can just do the low claw and get it out at a similar distance, right? Running forward into air dash back to Tommy might be one of the best overall neutral tools that Baiken has at her disposal. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I actually think there is quite literally nothing in the game like this. And for sure, there's nothing else in her toolkit that's probably this good. There's a learning curve to it. You know, there's a lot of like learning to use it. A big thing I'll give you as like input advice is don't do it fast. Do it at the end of your air dashes and have it splat in front of you. Don't do this, or you get less effectiveness out of it. The faster you do the input, the further Baiken ends up from her tatami that she's placing. The slower you do it, the closer she ends up, like this. Right? So I kind of fall into the input like that. And if you notice, tatami is like kind of right in front of me, as opposed to if I rapid fire it, tatami is like a good distance away from me. That's kind of why there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. And there's reasons to do each one, actually. It's not bad to do the other one, but usually the slow one is more effective in neutral. But yeah, try that a lot. It's really good. It's very hard to play around. The only notable downside is it's tanking your meter gain a little bit every time, because you're moving forward, but then you're moving back. I've looked into it. It doesn't actually do it as much as you think, but you are net negative on that. But yeah, that's good. Same with like, anytime you're kind of resetting like this versus her, I usually will just air dash back to Tommy, period. This range does not feel good versus Jam because I'm in the range of this. I don't want to be anywhere near Jam, like in this range, which is kind of funny because this range isn't necessarily that bad for Baiken. But if I reset here, a lot of the times I do this. With the reason being, if for whatever reason we reset and she runs forward, Tatami will always catch her, right? Maybe even for like a combo, depending on the timing. Right? And get a knockdown. So it's just good. It's just air dash back to instant air dash back to Tommy is good, and then run forward air dash back to Tommy is good too. The other thing I'll cover really quick is resets. So let's say I get a hit that's too high like this. This is too high to knock down now. Usually Kabari is like a normal common reset. That's not a bad option. Kabari is the highest reward if somebody's going to give it to you. However, there's a lot of things that involve like RPS around it, right? So usually the level 1 to resetting with Baiken is if you do... I'll show the screen while we talk about it, I guess. If you do Kabari, it'll catch people instantly teching usually, like pretty much all the time. If they delay their tech a little bit, then it won't, and you usually get punished if they tech into you. That tends to lose to doing far slash into the Suzuran air throw because that times around the delay air tech. But if they don't pick anything, like let's say they don't do that, then you end up kind of like foregoing all your Okazeme period, and it gets a little awkward. A lot of the times you'll end up whiffing jump heavy, point blank, land on them, and then you don't get any real Oki, which I think is a downside, but it's not that bad, I guess. The thing no other Baiken really does is I do far slash 2S, and you recover faster than your opponent. You recover fast enough to do things like this. Let me see if I can get it. This is actually probably what I do the most, because it's just the least risky. Oh, whoops. It's the least risky, and it involves controlling the situation still for Baiken. It's still pretty good in that sense. Let me just do it off the reset. You do this. So, when you press far slash, you press 2S, wait for it to recover, and you kind of just time your 6P for the tech forward. And this kind of smokes like everybody, from what I've noticed. It is very good. Let me see if I can set up a fake combo. There we go. This wouldn't knock down. So you do something like this. But you don't 6P kind of immediately. You kind of 6P like as it's happening. Like as they're teching into you. And this reset is very good. If they eat the 6P counter hit, you have like all day to hit confirm it. And even if you're worried about it, you can buffer 5H. And on a midweight, this probably doesn't always work on lightweights. It kind of depends on the hit. But on a midweight, you'll get this pickup. You'll get the Kuchinashi 5K pickup if they get hit by it and it's airborne. But the reason I like this reset is you don't really lose much, almost ever. So neutral teching might be the scariest thing that you deal with, because they sometimes end up kind of close. But the thing is, a lot of the techs here end up, like, even neutral tech doesn't usually end up that close to you unless they delay it a little bit. But what I'm getting at is, let's say they pick neutral tech immediately or back tech, you still have a really good positional advantage as Baiken in this situation. If you do this and they tech, usually they land around the time that you recover from your 6P and they are still cornered. Right, so things like air-to-air into tatami are like pretty good because the tatami is gonna just own all the space in front of them, right? But in general, you have the positional advantage, and even if people do, by the way, if they do that delay tech shit, it does lose to that 6P still. Like if they do delay tech forward, it does lose to this 6P still. I know that this is a pretty good option because it still beats things like Jam Jump H a lot. Sometimes it clashes with Jam Jump H, but that's just because Jam Jump H is very strong. But the fact that it beats it is, like, huge. But yeah, do that. That reset is very good. The last thing I'll say, I don't really have enough time to, like, really cover a lot of defending against Jam. But generally speaking, if you see this button, faultless defense. Like, or if you can learn where they use this button, faultless defense it. It's plus on block, +1. It's not a lot, but it's still plus. But that means that this would be a frame trap if you let them jab for free. But if you faultless defense them out off of it, then 5K no longer reaches, right? They have to press something like 2K, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's not what they want to press. They also have to know to press that. But faultless defensing, that's good. Learning to recognize this button, and this button is usually pretty important versus Jam, because they telegraph that she's gonna do one of two things most likely. She can't jump cancel this button, so you know that she's going to do her slide off of it. She has to do her slide off of it, pretty much. These buttons are a similar dynamic where she's probably gonna do her slide off of them. Whoops. But she doesn't necessarily have to. This button and this button are also commonly followed by air dashing. So she'll do something like this. Right, like that. Or if they're in the middle of the screen, they'll usually know to press jump heavy so that it hits. And if it doesn't, they'll still do that. Learning to do those is fine. Air dashes obviously tend to lose to uppercut. So she's kind of weaned off of those. Usually I don't mind if they do this a ton. Because she's plus, sure, but that doesn't mean as much in the face of Azami, obviously, right? So at a surface level, I mean, you can feel free to boil it down a little bit into that. But I will offer in exchange for me not having like a longer explanation of this. Let me see. No, I don't want to open. Hold on. I'll do it in a different window. Soon. Switch accounts. Here it is. It is in... Because there is sort of a general... Let me see. There is like a general defensive thing that... Actually, what am I doing? I can just go to playlists. There is a bi-weekly VOD review playlist. No, just open it, man. I already covered some like, this is how jam pressure works type stuff. Kind of like from a universal perspective. Not even necessarily like Biken specific. But the Biken specific part is usually more like, oh, you can do a zombie versus plus frames. But that's like kind of it usually. Let me see. It'll be in the description. No, I think it's the week after this one. But yeah, hopefully that gives you some I'm still looking for the video, but I'll just talk about it since you were the last VOD review. Hopefully that gives you like some insight on it, like stuff to try / look for in neutral, specifically. Let's see. What week was this? Was this actually more recent than I thought? Let me see. Oh, cool. So, let me just timestamp it. I don't think the earlier parts are that important, but let me see. Oh my god, I hear my own voice. It's awful. Stop talking. This should be the timestamp for me. Like, this, if I'm not mistaken, is like a general overview of fighting jam. Like, basically, Bridge's entire, like, VOD review this time around from this one was like, this is what you do about, like, how jam... And honestly, like, everything you do, everything that I show is probably doable with Biken, I'm almost positive. They're all relatively universal solutions. They weren't, like, Raven-specific. In fact, Biken probably has better options at her disposal, realistically, than him. There's also one more. I think I quite literally have done this twice already. Oh, they're in the description. I'm dumb. I can just look here. No, go back to playlists. Because there's definitely another one. Hold on. I'll give you both of them. But I'm almost positive I say the same thing in like both of the VODs, honestly. They're timestamped in the description, but I gotta find out how to timestamp these like outside of the description. This is not... It's the one where I did it for Espada. Might be this one. Yeah. This is also essentially like another... Both of these are like, this is how you fight jam. Like, I go to wherever training mode starts. Training mode is probably like where I start talking about it. This one, I think, ended up having a couple more like maze-specific tools for her to use. But I'm almost positive it's like pretty similar in the sense that I usually try to teach people the general way that you fight the character. But it covers like the fuzzy blocking for her you know, Kara cancel overhead move, you know, like it goes over all that shit. It goes over the concept of like 2K 6H, 6H as a normal period. This is kind of a cop out because I'm essentially telling you, hey, I already did this. You can go watch me talk about it. But I only say that because we don't have the time. These are only 35 minutes long, so I can't teach everything in one sitting. Is usually what it boils down to. But that is it for today's session of VOD reviews. It was actually kind of nice. I haven't gotten like a good little number of them. Like I was surprised I got 4 at the end. Usually it's like kind of mixed bag. But yeah, bi-weekly. I don't believe these are always bi-weekly. I guess I'll talk about it as we wrap up. But pretty much these are always bi-weekly. Outside of me having stuff to do. In other words, like if I have to go do stuff, then it is what it is, and I usually go do stuff instead. Or put cap on music. But at the moment, I mean, 2 weeks from now, I think is fine. I think it'll have to be on Sunday again, because I think that's the local, right? Because 1 week, 2 weeks, yeah. So 2 weeks from now on Sunday should be the next one again. Same thing. I just post it on my bluesky most of the time, which is the Twitter handle that's listed. But I don't use Twitter anymore. They're pretty chill. Open to everybody. This is posted on the same thing, same like YouTube channel. It's on the Hyperslice Bread thingy. If you want to go back, I've been trying to be better about it. I'll probably upload it like in a couple days. I'll probably upload it later tonight, honestly, so I don't procrastinate. But I upload them, so if you need to go back, they're just there. They're all on this this playlist. I find that some people find them a little helpful in general. I think. Like I think some people just like going back and watching these. A lot of these reviews are usually. They'll probably teach you a lot about some of the characters, period, not just like matchup specifics. Matchup specifics come in the later part of the learning curve most of the time anyway, so it's usually not like as specific as you'd think, and they're actually surprisingly helpful, I think, for most people at teaching you like a lot of the basics of the game. But yeah, this is chill. I'm probably gonna like take a small break because I might stream some more stuff, but it'll be other stuff. But I'm gonna cut the VOD here so I don't have to edit it for YouTube. But yeah, if you were here just for bi-weekly VOD review, appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys most likely in 2 weeks again if you want to submit. But other than that, yeah, you guys have